What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 299. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and we have a good show for you today with one of our favorite guests rejoining us today as well. We got some good topics. It's going to be a good day, and by God, do we need a fun show just talking about games right now. So let's get into that. First and foremost, I want to introduce my shoulder. I fucked this up already. Excuse the language. I've double effed it up now right at the start. My boulder shoulder health is wealth partner is what I was going to say. Mr. NeoGameSpark. How we doing, my friend?
Oh, what's up? What's up, y'all? Yeah, we already gone left 30 seconds into the podcast. But you know what? What better way to do it? We're keeping it seasoned on this glorious Sunday. And I'm so happy to be back, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. My death is wealth partner in crime, Mr. Rodriguez, is here. I don't know what hashtag to use for you. I figure that's appropriate.
Here's the thing. Wealth is wealth. I have wealth, and I don't care about my health. Because guess what? You guys are going to be alive and 70 years old, and I'm going to be drowned in Twinkies and ding-dongs and zingers, and I'm going to be happy. Dead,
zingers.
But happy. That's the thing. I don't subscribe to it. You know what? Life is too short to miss out on the good stuff, and I indulge. And I love it. So
okay, I like that you said all that, then said life is too short. And it's like, well, it's longer if never mind.
Yeah, but then you don't get to eat all the Twinkies. That was the point. What is life over there next to my bed?
We had a whole movie about this.
Living a Spartan lifestyle can lead to a certain level of living. You know, Jack LaLanne, his whole.
Also, it doesn't matter because I drink Dr. Pepper. This is proven to get like old ladies and old men through like 101 years old.
Wait. Hold that bottle up. Hold that bottle up again. Hold that bottle up again.
Zero sugar.
Okay, see, that's okay. It cancels out everything. There you go.
That's actually healthy. Yeah, it's healthy.
Yeah. It's healthier than full sugar.
My goodness.
And of course, the Thai guy himself is here getting crap for another review. It wouldn't be a Sunday without it. How we doing, my friend?
We're doing great, man. McClunky to everyone. Happy to be back. It's been so long, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually going to a Giants game after this, so that should be
nice.
Got my Giants tie.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized I have a nice Giants jersey. I'll have to bring it out.
Okay, cool. I think we have to go to a game when you're down here, Ains, which is
that'd be fun.
Coming up pretty quick now.
Yeah, 3 weeks away.
3 weeks. So
yeah, it's ramping up, and then like I said, you can start your family, start having kids. It'll be good. Be good.
Sure.
Little mini bow tie.
Gonna happen.
I love it.
By the way, Ains calls all of my video game reviews my kids. For those out there wondering.
Yes. But anyway, what's going on, chat? Good morning, good afternoon. Today we're gonna be talking about a few reviews, a few games we're playing. We got Travis's First Descendant reviews out there. I've played it as well. Working on Angerfoot. Travis got to check out X Nordics he can talk about. We're going to be talking about Concord and PlayStation kind of kicking off that new kind of focus for them in the multiplayer perspective with Firewalk's game. We got Xbox's Game Pass price increase we'll talk about as well. But before we get into that, we of course have to pull up Tide's picks and get our Google Man super chat out of the way because he hit us nice and early this morning. But we'll start with Tide's picks. She went with the Astrobot theme this morning, and I hit her up yesterday to let her know Neo was going to be on the show to make sure we got Neo included. And they're pretty adorable, guys. I got to tell you what, except for Dan, who looks like he's possessed.
Yo,
Neo looks the best by far, man.
That one is actually pretty accurate. It's gotten my East African forehead and everything, bro. The hair, the eyebrows. I can't hate it. Oh my god, I love it.
I just look
looks pretty good. You look pretty good. Yeah, you look like a baby. I don't know. I look odd. I've got like this
soul.
I don't think AI can do your face, Ains. It really struggles. It kind of thinks
I've got Rudolph's nose. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know who Ains kind of reminds me of? Y'all ever see that episode of the Rugrats with that really big toddler?
No.
Oh my god! Someone in the chat, back me up. Y'all will know exactly what it is. That's what Ains looks like. I'll DM it to you right now, Ains. So you'll see.
All right. Yeah, Rugrats was. You remember? I'm older, man. Rugrats was past the.
He had his own Rugrats when Rugrats was on.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's true.
Bitcast. I like the robots with the Bitcast though. That's pretty cool. So,
Boss baby.
boss baby. Tide, as always, thank you very much for getting us started. Appreciate you. Let's get this back on. And Google, man, hitting us up right out of the gate with a €10 super chat this morning.
Wow, the €10.
Beautiful.
Angerfoot, the perfect game for passive aggressive sneakerheads, is out now and pairs well with Travis Scott's Jordan 1 lows or Gucci.
Or Gucci.
Yeah, I have not played this yet, but I spoke to a reviewer this week who reviewed it, and he was recommending it pretty highly. Have any of you guys played it?
Yeah, I'm playing it. I started playing it earlier this week, and I just haven't, I haven't gotten far enough to do the review yet formally, but yeah, I'll talk about it here shortly. So
cool, sweet.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Google, as always, for kicking us off. Appreciate you. And shout out to Midnight Jury for gifting 1 season gaming membership over on the side. Always supportive of the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it then, man. I'm going to start us off. We're going to save Concord discussion for kind of the main topic because it's kind of a bigger discussion we want to have. Travis and I got some time in the other night. I played some more last night and got a lot of thoughts about it. But before that, First Descendant. I got to play this in LA. This is from Nexon. We've talked about it previously, but since that time, I've played it a little more. I kind of lost interest in it. Travis, though, was reviewing it for IGN, has put a lot of time into it. And as someone who has thousands of hours in Destiny and a lot of these kind of live service shooters, you gave the game a 5, which I think, a lot of people got offended by, go figure, but I think also a lot of people were defending you for. I think it does seem like kind of a divisive game in that space. So you want to talk a little bit more about kind of that review and how you landed there?
Nope. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Nope. Moving on.
No, don't want to say anything. Yeah. So live service games are pretty hard to pull off. There's a lot of things you have to nail. You have to get the gameplay right. You have to get the balance and the loot shoot part right. You have to get the RNG grind right, and you have to get the end game right, which is quite a lot of stuff to juggle. But that is all the things that it takes to make a live service looter shooter game like the First Descendant work. The First Descendant succeeds in some of those areas, like its shooting and its abilities and the different characters you can play as. They all feel generally pretty good, and it fails pretty hard in some other areas. Its grind is pretty horrifying if you're trying to unlock stuff without paying real money, which I think was done intentionally because it's a free-to-play game, and that's kind of how they make money in that model, is they annoy you into paying money, which this game does quite well. And it's got a real problem with its mission design. The missions are kind of glorified patrols where you're running around an open world hub and repeating the same chores over and over again. And it also has problems with its end game, which is pretty light right now. You kind of repeat harder versions of the same activities and that sort of thing. But the stuff that it does well, I think it does well enough to be a really interesting jumping off point, like the boss battle system where you're fighting giant colossi are really cool. And I think it actually has potential. I don't want people to think a 5 out of 10 means I hated the game. And at IGN, a 4 out of 10 means the game was bad, and a 5 out of 10 means it's mediocre. And I would say it's a mediocre game, which is that it's pretty underwhelming. It definitely is below a lot of its looter shooter peers in terms of where it's at right now. But that, of course, doesn't mean that it won't get better. It is a live service game, so by definition, these games are changing a lot. And I think it's good to keep in mind that I gave Destiny a 6 out of 10 when that game came out in 2014, which was also pretty disappointing for a game that had 7 years development and was made by Bungie and was supposed to be this amazing live service game. And it really wasn't at launch. And it has since gone up and down from good to bad to worse to better. And I think that the First Descendant can absolutely do that as well. It just has to put in the work to fix the stuff that needs improving. But it's not a terrible game. So the people who like it, I get how you could like this game. Like, it has some very clear potential. I just think that it has a lot of shortcomings too. And in my 120 hours, those shortcomings kind of became more and more present and obvious to me. one of my anecdotes I talk about in the review is a period of time where on the 4th of July, I sat down to play that game early in the morning. I had nothing going on that day, and I decided to go through the process of unlocking a character from start to finish without paying any money. That process involved 8 hours of playing the same mission over and over again until I got a specific material to drop. It involved replaying some of the same patrol missions dozens of times until I got those materials to drop. And then at the end of the day, in the wee hours of July 5th, I finally assembled all the parts and I clicked research character, and then it told me I had to wait 16 hours to unlock it. So I went to bed just bummed out, knowing that it wasn't going to be until late in the day after that I would actually be able to use this character I'd spent all day grinding. And of course, they have the option to just pay $5 in cash to skip the wait time, skip the time gate, and get the character. And so, it's just one of those games that really is designed to irritate you into paying money. And I could have just spent $10 and got my entire day back. And that's pretty horrifying to think about. And the fact that it wouldn't even really be a problem if it was fun to do. Like, some of these games are better at making that process fun. I would say Warframe is in that camp of kind of got the same, almost identical model really of unlocking characters, but it has more content to fall back on, and it just it's just, level design is a little bit better. It's encounter design, and so I think it's not completely lost for this game. It could turn it around. There have been live service games that launched way worse than this one that stuck around and succeeded, and I think they can too. It is just a little underwhelming at this point, which is why I gave it a 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. I stopped after 12 hours, and I played several missions, and like the repetitiveness of the engagements is really apparent. The level design is very, very basic, and how you navigate things. And I got bored really quickly. And then on top of that, as you said, the menu system to kind of get things from the missions, and trying to figure all that out because of the monetization model is just really convoluted. It actually reminded me, I think I told you, it reminded me of when, which funny enough, it's kind of funny to look back on, but Fortnite Save the World mode, which was a free to play. You had to kind of play missions over and over again to unlock stuff, and they had timers and all this stuff. And it just made me think of that again. And I'm like, there's a reason this is kind of faded away from most games. Like, this is just frustrating. Even researching a weapon, to your point, it was like 4 hours. I had to wait. I clicked it and was like, oh, I'll come back later today and check it out. And, I get that it's free to play. I get that there's a lot of content there that you can play for free. So I don't want to ignore that fact, but I'm of the point at this point where, like, just let me pay $60 for the game and put the content in the game. Free to play can really annoy me sometimes, because you end up, if you want to just play it normally, it becomes very convoluted, and they have to design all these systems to get people to spend the money to fund the development, and ongoing development in the live service model. And it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I have nothing wrong with free to play as a model, but when you just look at the game and how its design has been influenced by its free to play model, it doesn't make it more fun, the knowledge that it's free to play, right? If you're just a player trying to enjoy the game and you have to deal with these systems that have kind of intentionally been made obtuse just to get you to spend money, that's still a part of the game's design that you have to take into account when you're reviewing it, right?
Yes.
So like one example is the fact that they give you an extremely small inventory of items that you can carry in the game, and then they tell you that you can pay real money to increase your inventory slots from what I think it's 20 by default up to 1,000 inventory slots if you pay money to do so. I think it costs like a couple $100 to get it to 1,000 though. It's like a pretty significant number of dollars. So yeah, it's like, oh, do you want to carry 1,000 weapons? Instead of 20, you got it, man. Just pull out that wallet and pay all the. It's like, man, because I will say, like, in a looter shooter, having 20 inventory slots of stuff you can carry is brutal, because that's like, the whole game is like, loot.
You're breaking stuff down constantly.
Yeah, you're breaking stuff down constantly. You're having to like stop in the middle of missions because you're going to lose all your items if you don't clear some space for them, all the loot drops you got, and it just really doesn't feel good. So obviously, you can just pay for that and clear out the annoyance. But I feel like the game could have benefited quite a bit, at least at launch, if there were just more ways to earn the premium currency, because you can, but it's very, very small quantities from the season pass, which itself is paid. And that's sort of one of my main criticisms, right? They have a paid season pass. They have a ton of paid cosmetics that you can't get any other way but by paying money. And so it's like, did they really need to also throw in like the Warframe model of unlocking characters and weapons and time gates and all that? It just feels like they kind of decided to not focus on one kind of monetization strategy and just kind of added all of them, which is something that I've criticized Destiny of doing in the past. And I think it's a fair criticism for Destiny as well. But yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's a lot. To your point, it's not like they could have gone with cosmetics and maybe, you know, certain other things. Instead, it's like every layer of the game is built around monetization, and it just it wears on you, no doubt. So yeah.
To their credit, I played this game a ton in all of the betas it ran, and it seems like they removed some of the stuff. Like there was a while in one of the betas, which I commented on in one of my previews, where you had to like pay for loot boxes that unlocked random color palettes that you could apply to armor. So you had to like play a little gotcha game just to get consumable like color skins for your characters, which was insane. And I think that they got some heat for that, and they took it out of the game before it launched. So at least I couldn't see it in the game anymore. So yeah, it seems like they did change some stuff. And again, I see some people in the comments saying it looks like they're listening to their players. I actually agree with that. They had some really good like feedback right out the gate where they were addressing misleading drop rates on some items that I think that they need to adjust. For example, the activity that I did over 50 times across that 8 hour, the item I was trying to get had a 20% drop rate according to the menu, which I am convinced is not true based on the fact that everybody on Reddit was saying exactly what I was saying. I've been playing this all day. I've been playing it for 2 days. I can't get it to drop. And I feel like it's pretty unlikely that you can roll a D5 50 times and not get a 5 once, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty, I think that there's some stuff that they need to adjust. But again, it's got potential, man. I could see this game turning it around absolutely and becoming a much better game. And I think
there are people enjoying it too, to be clear.
There are people enjoying it.
Yeah. It's there are people,
especially at the beginning. Like I know you dropped off quick, but I would say like the first 5 to 10 hours, I was really kind of, the gameplay is good. And then it's really just the longer you play, the more you're kind of like, man, this has got some stuff to work through. And I played 120 hours over a couple weeks. And so, by the end, I was pretty disenchanted.
Grinded down.
Yeah, you get grinded down. So
fair enough. Sounds like the perfect game for Dan. You're on mute.
Can't tell you, I completely zoned out for about the last 15 minutes. No idea what the First Descendant is, but I'm glad that you gave it a 5. So,
great.
That's what I know.
Yeah, free to play live service shooter is pretty much every word that Dan stays away from.
Well,
Neo, have you tried this at all? Oh, sorry, Travis.
So I was just going to say, Dan, the one thing that you would care about are the comments directed at me on this one. There's one of them just is 2 words, neither of which I'm allowed to say on the show. That's all. Wow. That's all they bother typing, and I believe it's the top YouTube comment right now. So
really,
it's like the top rated YouTube comment. So
a hard F. Is it a hard F?
It's a hard R.
J?
It's a bunch of some words.
It's not right. That's too far.
Yeah,
man. No, we need to stop that stuff. But however, a lot of those comments are gold, and they sustain me. So
so there you go. There's a little something for everyone.
All right, fantastic.
Are you playing this? This your type of thing?
No, and just hearing you guys talk about it, I sound it sounds so exhausted. I feel drained. Like I just felt like every single word Travis just said about it. I was like, damn. That's crazy. But I mean, to be fair, I'm not the biggest when it comes to like live service games in general. I'll maybe dabble in something if a couple of friends are like, hey, you got to hop on this. And if it's really like the barrier of entry is extremely low, or I don't have to like sink too much time, like Sea of Thieves, for example. Like I played that for a couple of weeks when I got my Xbox, had a lot of fun with it, then didn't touch it for a while. And then when they came out with like the Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, that crossover, I just booted it up again and I had fun. Like, so for me, that's the type of live service game. If I were to play consistently, I'd play something like that. But just hearing all of this stuff, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. It's a free to play game, and it's like every single thing that y'all described, it sounds so dreary and dreadful. Like, yeah, I put all this time in this game, I didn't get the thing. And I know that's the nature of the beast, when it comes to that sort of thing. But it's like, for some people who only have like limited time to play games and things like that, and then they're playing something like that, I would much rather, and I assume this will probably be a topic further down the way, the price that you pay for a full retail game versus a free to play, and then you have to deal with all the little tiny annoyances that come with it. So yeah, I don't think I'll be checking out the First Descendant, but I mean, hey, people are enjoying it, people are having fun with it, and if it gets to that point where it's like, hey, we support it, and the game is drastically different 2-3 years down the road, I'll be like, hey, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, as it stands right now, I stand by Travis in his review, because that sounds about right.
Yeah. When I saw your score, I only played it 12 hours, like I said. But when I saw your score, I was like, yeah, it's about right. Yeah. It's
cool.
We'll see.
Well, like
you
you said, there were a lot of people that were pretty upset about this. I think there's some people that have the perception that there's like a political slant here, because I don't know. I honestly don't even really understand that angle, but I do think that there were like an equal number of people that were like, yeah, kind of fair. And you get that too with Destiny, right? I gave Destiny a 6 a couple years ago when they came out with an expansion, and there were some people who were furious and said, how dare you? And other people were like, yeah, honestly, kind of fair. So opinions, man, opinions. They be opiniony.
Yeah, no kidding.
How dare you? It's crazy, bro.
A couple member comments we'll get to real quick. We have from Max, or Fitstring, sorry. It's Max.
It's all good.
That's my guy right there.
It's Neo. Also, Anthem is better than the First Descendant. I know what Anthem is.
Yeah,
Fact.
I would agree with that.
Fact.
I don't think it's much better, but or it was much better. But yeah, I would agree with that.
I had fun flying around. It was cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Anthem's great. We know this.
Probably a 6 or 7.
Shout out to Max, who was at Lime Rock last week. If you know racing, Lime Rock is one of the kind of most well-known tracks in the U.S. out there, having some track days. Good stuff.
Nice.
Rick Davis
with the member comment. Morning, guys. Continuing my grind through Elden Ring. I'm assuming we'll get to the DLC someday. It took 2 years, but I finally like it. And I have been digging into the lore.
I think Ains and I were thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I talked to Rick a lot. He's on our Discord, and he's tried a few times with Elden Ring. It's never clicked, but he's still he said it's clicked now more than ever before. So we've had a lot of that. Like a lot of people have revisited because of Shadow, and now they're getting into it. So it's cool.
Yeah.
That's what's
cool.
up, brother.
I still have not gone back to it because I've just been back-to-back reviews, and it looks like that's not stopping. So I will play it.
Because you haven't played Shadow yet, right?
I mean, I have. Yeah, we talked about it. I got through a couple bosses, and then I had to stop, and I just haven't been able to go back. But I liked what I play. I saw some lightning goats. That was pretty cool.
Lightning goats are cool. Yeah. It's remarkable. Yeah, as I've said. Brick Cormier, super chat.
Brick Cormier. I don't know. Sorry. All right, just tuning in. And what is FD? What is FD? Oh, First Descendant to me is not as bad as many people are saying. As long as a longtime Warframe player, the farming is just second nature by now. I've been able to farm anything I wanted, but of course, not as much as I want. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I would say maybe you have got a little bit of Stockholm with the grind, if just by you saying that farming is just second nature right now. It means you're used to your time not being respected. But I think to be frank, I think it's bad in Warframe too. I know a lot of people really like Warframe. I played Warframe for years, but these mechanics also annoyed the crap out of me in Warframe. So this is just me feeling that way about another game as well. So
yeah, and I think there are people, like, especially when you talk about the MMO space too, because we've said the same about like Final Fantasy 14 and others, right? Or Black Desert or a few of those. Is that some people don't really mind the farming? You know what I mean? Someone told me the other day they treat it like they'll put on a podcast. You know what I mean? And they just kind of play for some hours and veg out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And farm. And fair enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's what you enjoy.
That is exactly what I did when I was grinding on the 4th of July. I put on my U.S. history podcast because I thought it was appropriate, and I listened to the founding of our nation for 8 hours while I grinded out this thing all day. So, you know, it makes it slightly better, but I was still beating my head against the wall every time I completed the also the mission I had to do. It has 2 bosses in it, and both of the bosses have like shield time gate mechanics where you can't just like burn them down. You know, it's like you shoot them and then they get a shield and you have to
invulnerability for
pick off their vulnerability shield, and then you start to damage them again. And it's like they use that mechanic so much. It just feels like they're trying to make things take as long as possible. And yeah, you know, just stuff like that's a little bit annoying. But I agree, Britt. I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying.
Fair enough.
All right, but how dare you? All
right. Britt follows up with a super chat.
Yeah, for $5. Farming is not part of the game. It is the game.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
When do we get to the ride? It is the ride.
When do we get to the ride? It is the ride. It's the line.
Yay.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, glad you're enjoying it, Britt. That's good.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the generosity.
I enjoyed it at times too. I mean, I think the gunplay is pretty good. Doing the
it is, yeah, it is. It can be fun to play. Yeah. All right. I'll touch on Angerfoot real quick since that came up. So Angerfoot, which is a funny name to begin with. If you're not familiar with this, it is this debuted last year. I think in a trailer, kind of, you know, with a sense of humor. It's got that kind of funny art style to it. And what it essentially is, the reason it's called Angerfoot is like what they showed in the original trailers. You're basically busting through doors and literally just kicking people with your big foot. Right. Oh, yeah. Like from an action perspective, you can look up the trailer for this. But what I found since I got the code earlier this week and playing it is it's like a level rush game. So if you think of like a smaller condensed, maybe, you know, like Ghost Runner type game where basically you're going through a level. These are small, rather linear, you know, there's some side things and they do open up over time. But like you'll kick a door in, right? And there's 3 enemies in that room. And they're shooting at you. So you have your foot, of course, which can one-shot people. And you move very quickly. And then you get guns that you have to, you know, you get a few bullets. And then when you kick someone and kill them, you get another gun. And you can just kind of keep reloading. And it's this back and forth. But it's very fast-paced. And you're actually timed on the levels. So, like, you'll kick open the door and the timer starts. And it's like, you know, you can beat a whole level in like 45 seconds. A minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's like different objectives you can do in the level, like don't get damaged once, you know, make sure you kill every enemy. There's enemies hidden behind certain doors and stuff. But it's very fast paced, it's very funny, and you're basically looking to get through these levels, not only get through them, but perfect them, you know, over time.
And you get different shoes, right? With powers.
Yeah. So there's the whole thing is based around like it opens where like you take out these gang members who tried to steal these new shoes you wanted, right? And you get this pair of shoes, and in your apartment you have a shoe vault, which are like all these sneakers, you know, and then someone steals your shoes and you get all pissed off, right? And basically you're going down to hunt these gangs down in this violent city to get your shoes. And as you unlock new sneakers, they give you like special kick abilities, like super kicks and all kinds of other things. And it just, you can kind of power up through them. So it's quite funny. It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek, meant to be just very pick up and play, fun to play. You know, you can play for 5 minutes or an hour, you know, and knock out some levels. It's pretty cool so far. I've got to put more time in it. I haven't had a lot of time in it yet, but I'm enjoying it. It's funny and it's fun to play, and it's very smooth. It's very polished. So it's neat. It's definitely cool.
We'll definitely be playing this one. It kind of reminded me of like Ghost Runner meets My Friend Pedro.
Yeah. I'm watching some gameplay of it right now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or like what's the High on Life guy, Royland?
Yeah. Kind of like
it's got that kind of look and, you know, humor to it.
Yeah, I'm into that. I definitely want to play this one. Sounds very unique and cool. And I had no idea about it, by the way. I never saw a trailer for it or anything. I didn't even find out about it until a reviewer from a different outlet was like, you guys should play this game. At a press event I was at this week, there were some people talking about it. I was like, oh, a game where you kick people? Hell yeah.
Bro, he is literally kicking in every door.
Yeah. It's funny, man. It's real funny. I think it debuted like either Game Awards or one of the shows last year. They showed a quick trailer for it. And then I've been excited about it. It was actually at Summer Game Fest, but I like ran out of time to check it out. So it's cool to get the code this week and check it out. But I'll have more on it this week, you know, as I put more time into it. So, and I don't think it's super expensive either. I think it's, you know, it's a relatively inexpensive game. So it's only on Steam right now. But they, you know, hopefully console release coming in the future.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's Angerfoot. Neo, anything you've been playing you want to touch on, man?
Oh yeah, so I kind of let me know if you guys ever had something similar to this happen. You guys know when you play a game, like a really long game, usually an RPG, and you sink so much time into it, and you just want to not play that game anymore.
Yeah.
That was me with like this year in particular, because there's been a lot of JRPGs. That's all I've really been playing for the first half of the year. Like I went through, I did another playthrough of Persona 5 Royal. I finished
Nice.
that, and then immediately after that, I didn't do the smart thing, which was to have like a palate cleanser in between before you start a big game. So after that, I dove straight into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then put time into that. And then I hit a point in Rebirth where I was like, I played this too much. Let me take a break. And then I was away. So I was just like, all right, I need to get some gaming in. And then boom, Xbox Cloud Gaming. Let me start Persona 3 Reload.
Oh my
And
god.
then
No.
and then I put another 50 hours into that. And then it got to a point where every time I would boot up like my Xbox or my PlayStation, I didn't want to go through it. I was just like, I know I can finish these games. I love these franchises. They're great, but I was just burnt out. So I took some time off of that, and I just went through, okay, what do I have in my backlog of games that either I want to replay or finish up? And I had like a lot of like 8 to 10 hour experiences. So I was like, I haven't played through the Uncharted games in a long time. So I ran through Uncharted 2. Yeah, so I ran through Uncharted 2 again, and I was like, man, this was awesome. And then the next weekend, ran through Uncharted 3, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And it just brought me back to a time where you could just play a game over the course of like 2-3 days, finish it, and just have a great experience. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently while I work my way back into playing those big JRPGs. I've just been playing through like a lot of the smaller titles. So I went through Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 like back-to-back weekends. And then after that, I was like, I have not played Spider-Man 2018 since 2018, bro. So I was like, yeah, let me play the remastered version. And I'm doing a complete platinum run of that. And yeah, that's just what I've been doing, like to work my way back into playing those RPGs, just like revisiting old games, doing some trophy cleanup. And then for whatever reason, I have this weird itch. And I'm stopping myself from doing this. I have this weird itch to do another Dragon Quest 11 playthrough. So I gotta put this,
dude.
I know I have a problem, and I'm
all
seeing-
you
I'm
do
trying to
is
see
replay
people.
games. You just replay JRPG.
I literally do that, even though, because you know what it is, because there's like some games that I have where I want to like hold off on playing it, because I know when I don't have that, when I finish that, that's like the game for a few years. So that's the one game I'm avoiding doing that with. Well, the one game I'm avoiding playing right now is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, because I know it'll be like another 3 years before I get another one. So I just want to savor that long experience. And it's also a long game, so I'm putting that off. But
it is a very long game.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's kind of stopping me from doing that. Whereas like the other Yakuza games, you can beat in like, if you just do the story, you can do like 20 hours. You know,
wait, so you're like edging with JRPGs. You basically you're replaying old games so that you don't play the new ones too fast.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
That's wild.
That's one way you just
the amount of
the stuff in my mind, you put it to words, Travis. I like that.
That's crazy.
That's why me and Travis we're in sync with
we connect, dude.
We really do.
Although our gaming habits are very different, because I'm like the type of guy who's like, as soon as a game comes out, I need to play it now, or I might never have the time, you know.
Yeah. In your situation, absolutely. But for me, it's like, I have a little bit of like leg room where I can go about that, and thankfully, I run in good circles where I don't get like spoiled on certain things, which is a good
very
part
lucky.
about it, you know. And that's the problem. Depending on like what some games you play, man, you would think like somehow like 2 days later, yeah, man, I beat this 100-hour game. I'm like, how? How do y'all do that? But yeah, that's what gaming's been. So once I finish up Spider-Man, I'll probably have the urge, the courage, or in this case, Travis, the stamina to go back and finish up like the rest of Persona 3 Reload, which I probably have just like another 30 hours or so, which is not crazy in the grand scheme of things. And not start anything major until Metaphor comes out in terms of like big RPGs.
I was gonna say, as a JRPG fan, man, this is your year. There's so much stuff,
bro. It's a lot, and I love it because there was a period last generation, and towards the tail end of like the PS3 generation too, where we just weren't getting a lot of like of the big JRPGs. If you were interested in JRPGs, you had to be plugged into like the smaller companies. You know, you had to be plugged into what Atlas was putting out, you know, back when Atlas was smaller. Yeah, because it was just like the big JRPG focus, like the Final Fantasies, they weren't delivering on that front. And then now it's just like, well, time to make up for lost time, bro. So you get this, you get that, you get everything. I'm just like, okay, all right. But it's a good problem to have. I'd rather this problem than not have any of those games to play. So.
You excited about I don't know if we were doing the same thing. I was going to say, you excited about Dragon Quest remake?
Yes, absolutely, dude. It's and I think that's part of the reason why I kind of want to go towards replaying 11, because 11 similar to like Persona 5, it was just a game that came out at like the right time, and I just really hope that this game is what I hope this game, as weird as this sounds, because Dragon Quest is a huge franchise, it doesn't need new people, but I hope this remake that they have coming out is what brings people who haven't played Dragon Quest into the franchise, just like Persona 5 is what did it for that. Even though Dragon Quest is like huge and celebrated in Japan and everybody knows it, you know, when you start getting the person who's just like, hey, I've only played one JRPG and it's Persona 5, I want that to be that for this new Dragon Quest.
They actually said that. So I told a story on Bitcast here that I was fortunate enough to play that in LA. Actually, me and Sam Tolbert were in the first group to get to play it. And one of the things they said was exactly that, is that's why they started with Dragon Quest 3, because it's the first one in the story, in the lore, right? Yeah. So, and then they're 1 and 2 next year with that collection to continue it, right? That's exactly right. Like, they know how big Dragon Quest is and how beloved it is, but they want to get new people checking it out, and they're hoping this is that kind of spark, you know, to do that. So, yeah. So it's cool, man.
Exciting. It's exciting. Exciting time.
What were you gonna say, Travis? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna also try to use him talking about JRPGs as a transition to talk about Ys 10 Nordics.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another one.
Which I played a little bit. So
go.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the Ys series has been around for I think 37 years.
It's been a long time.
Very long time.
The late 80s, I believe. And
I have a Sega Master System Ys game, so yes.
Yes, yeah, it's a very popular JRPG series about a adventurous boy who ends up at different islands or nations because he's an explorer, and all of the games are kind of self-contained adventures in different parts of the world that are usually based off of like a fantasized version of some culture that exists in real life. They are currently on the 10th game, Ys 10 Nordics, which takes place in a kind of Viking Nordic type land. And it takes place canonically after the second game. Not that that really matters because, again, they're all pretty self-contained. I got to play this game for a couple hours and interview the president of Nihon Falcom about, you know, his company and about the game and that sort of thing. And if you're into JRPGs, as Hoeg is, and I was going to recommend it to Hoeg, but now I've got Neo to recommend it to as a fellow JRPG friend. It is definitely a true JRPG. I mean, that's what Nihon Falcom makes. They make like JRPGs that are very very old school. It does change a little bit of the formula. It doesn't have a party system. It's basically just a two characters that it focuses on that you kind of switch between, and you know they complement each other well. There's one character that is a Viking type character and is good at peeling off armor, and then you've got our main character protagonist who's better at hitting taking people down once they don't have any armor left, and stuff like that. Really complicated, lots of skill trees. There's a mini game where I was in a boat doing cannon fire at enemies and that sort of thing. But this game came out in Japan last year, where it was very well received. Apparently, its story is super good, and so it's really cool that we're getting it. For those who know the Ys series, you know that we always get these games late. That it takes them a while to localize it.
Yeah.
This is actually, I think, one of the quicker turnarounds. I think the last Ys game was like at least 18 months. So this is going to be like a little over a year, I think.
Falcom's been doing really good over the past couple of years, because I played like just the wait from some of the stuff like Ys, like when we got Ys 8, and then I played the one that was on the Vita. I think that was Oath and Felgana. that like the time frame of it, like what, 2 years, sometimes 3 years, and now down to a year. They're going crazy. The Tales series used to be like that too, where we went, I think, like 4 years without getting a title, and then it just all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's that support, man.
Yeah, and it was cool talking to their president and about their company and their culture and the challenges they've got in Japan with certain work laws that have taken effect recently, and also about their future plans for the company and IPs that they might be working on. So I've got a preview you guys can watch if you're interested in this, and then I have an interview that I've been meaning to publish, but it's just taking a little longer because I've been busy with other coverage that I can't talk about. But I'm going to have an interview with Kondo-san on the site pretty soon.
Nice.
So, but yeah, it was cool. It was nice to play that game. I haven't interacted with the East series in a couple years. It might be more like 5 years now. It's been kind of a while, but as a kid, this is a game series that predates me as a person by quite a lot. So it's always been there, kind of like Star Wars, and I'm excited to play more of it. I think the demo sold me that I'm going to like try to make time for this one, because I do want to, it's very story focused, and I do want to play that one.
Back then East was talking of the old days, East was one of those JRPGs that was like, it was kind of second. You had your Final Fantasy that got popular early on. You had your Dragon Warrior at the time that got popular early on. Then you had your ones like Phantasy Star, I always talk about, right? Or the Shining series on Mega Drive and Genesis. And East was always there, but it was just kind of like, it was like the second tier, like some people loved it, but it was never quite as big as the other ones. But it's cool. It's fantastic to see it still going. And I know Hoeg loves it, so he'll probably look back on this conversation and get excited for it. So
it's huge in Japan too. Very popular there. Probably. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, man, it's a hell of a year for JRPGs. We were talking about Metaphor before the launch, which is my most anticipated, but I don't get into all the series as much as others. But between Dragon Quest Remake, and you've got East, you've got Metaphor, you've got Mana, right? Coming out as well. So hell of a year. Never mind Infinite Wealth, like you said, that came out earlier this year, which I know, Dan.
Game of the year contender.
I was gonna say, did all of Travis, did you finish it in Hoeg as well? All three of you? Just not me, right?
I'm at the very end of the game. It's one of those games I'm probably not going to finish until I got a little more time. But
yeah. I
post wedding game. That's all my time.
I like that.
My time is being spent on.
It's like Travis, you just got married. What are you about to do? I'm about to finish Infinite Wealth.
That's right, baby.
I love it. You got your priorities in order. Shout out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Dan, I know obviously that your game of the year is coming out this week. I'm sure you're pumped. It's like a day or two from now. But have you just been biding your time till that comes, or are you planning anything interesting?
No. I mean, okay. So last time we were on, I don't play anything. This is you're gonna find out here in a second. So I got.
If you say Breakpoint, I swear to God.
No.
Okay.
It's Skull and Bones.
Definitely not. We got the app for the Xbox on the Fire Stick, and I've got a 4K
yes,
sir.
Right. So I told you I would try it out, see how it works. It works fine. Works about the same as I would have expected it to work, or how it worked on my phone. I wouldn't play Hellblade 2 on it. I would definitely try to get yourself a console, but it'll run it for sure. I mean, it's just
why not? What's the limitation?
Like the precision of the frames or something? Or?
Yeah. It's a little grainy. It's like now I've got 2 gig internet, so I mean my internet is no slouch now, so it'll run stuff. I mean, State of Decay 2, I obviously jumped back into that because I love that game. It runs, according to my television, 60 frames, so it's keeping up. But what happened was I realized that MLB The Show 24 was on Game Pass, and that's pretty much all I've been playing, even though I own it on PlayStation. So that's basically what happened. I was like, oh, hey, the show's here. Yeah, on the Fire TV stick. It runs great on that.
Well,
There
that's
are
I mean
some
that's pretty
hiccups here
good.
and
So you have
there.
no trouble hitting or anything or pitching?
There's a couple. I'm a pitcher usually on my the
Yeah, you
player
are.
whatever.
You beat me
But
by one.
there every once in a while you get a stutter where like you're trying to place your pitch or
Yeah.
wherever you and it'll just kind of hang and then it'll jump and it's not 100%. I wish they would take it out of beta. Any complaints that I have with it are really more just early stuff that like I don't ask me for feedback after every game I get out of. I don't want to see that. I also need a longer time. Like if I got to go to the bathroom or something, right? I don't want to come back and say, "Hey, Mike, we kicked you out," because you were gone too long or whatever. I get that a lot too.
Yeah.
You can't, just extend that time a little bit. It's like little minor things, but otherwise, I mean, if you don't want to buy a console and you want Game Pass, then you're willing to do that. Now, also, once they get to the point where I can access my whole library on it, then we'll be talking because you're talking thousands of games here, as opposed to what they have now. But it's fine. I played basically MLB and State of Decay and some Wasteland 3, all games that I played before. I didn't really try anything out because nothing really interests me. But you know what I did try out? Spice Wars, Dune Spice Wars. I don't know why. Yeah, that's cool actually not bad. Not bad. Yeah. It's a fun little RTS. Little confusing at first, but it's fine.
They all are.
Yeah. And then I will be playing. It might be 6 months from now, the Ace Attorney trilogy.
Let's get it. Let's get it, bro. I will pre-order that stream, man.
Listen. College football comes out tomorrow, guys. At 4:00 my time, it's over.
Yeah, Dan's not going to be anything on the show for the next 6 months. So
no, that's pretty much it. I need
that review expeditiously, please, because I'm on the fence. I'm excited for it because we haven't had one of those in a long time, but I need a real review from the master.
Yeah,
you know what? Surprise! Oh, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I'll do my best. I'll give you the heads up.
Hell yeah.
I was going to say, Travis, I don't know if you've looked at this at all on the IGN side of the house, but I was going through. We were talking about SEO the other day and looking at the usual, right? Some metrics for like interesting games. And I was looking at some YouTube channels and I was surprised to see that especially on the PlayStation side, the views on the stuff for college football are incredibly low. And because the people I talk to, obviously Dan and a whole bunch of other friends, like the hype seems really high for this game. And I'm sure it's going to sell gangbusters. But I'm just wondering if there's a disconnect. Maybe they're not the people who are logging into PlayStation, YouTube to watch videos. This is more the casual audience that's just going to buy the hell out of this game.
Yeah, I think I can tell you that the IGN traffic on these games is always through the roof. Like the people really care about it. So I also think the IGN audience is like a lot broader and they probably have more casual fans. Because if you're a casual fan, you probably know about IGN and like one other gaming outlet, right?
Yeah.
So
if Season Gaming is who you're referring to, of course.
yeah, IGN and then Season Gaming.
IGN Season
Gaming. Casual fan base for sure. But yeah, I think we tend to have a lot of like casuals who like also like who only know about us because we do like movie reviews, and then also they play like Call of Duty and college football, and so they know about those games. But I can tell you, Madden always does traffic, and I think college football does pretty well too. Not my
fun to see,
but yeah, I think it'll do well.
Well, people like Dan and like I said, a bunch of friends have been waiting a decade for this. So
yeah,
go ahead.
It is going to sell more next-gen consoles than any other game this year. Not even
interesting.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah,
I can see it.
I bet you see a bump in Series X and PlayStation 5s.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen.
I wouldn't bet against that.
It's going to sell consoles.
Couple million more PlayStations, couple thousand more Xboxes. Yeah, dude.
I mean, I don't know about that.
a couple thousand is very generous because you don't need an Xbox.
The radio station, our local sports radio station, has got a tournament already planned for the end of the month. They're giving away 2 new consoles. They're playing. You have to call up and sing your alma mater's song live on air, so that's not happening. But just to get into the tournament, but I mean, it's bigger than I think people are giving it credit for.
It's going to be big.
Madden, it'll outsell Madden, I would guess, too, this year. And that's
especially EA is going to it's going to be everywhere, right? Like anywhere sports wise, it's going to be. So I'm kind of curious. I'm actually into, I think I mentioned this months ago when we were raising for Extra Life, but next weekend is actually the Extra Life Ignite event, which is in the convention center here at Kansas City for the first time. And they having a tournament day over the weekend. I'm going to be curious if they have college football playing at their game tournament next weekend. It wouldn't surprise me. So
That'd be crazy.
Yep. Well, cool, man. All right. We got one more super chat from Darth Mac. Darth, you're killing me with this every week. I appreciate this super chat, of course, but
yeah, it's
for Hoeg, skull and bones. LOL. Well,
yeah.
Well, he's probably home. He's probably.
But it's what he would have wanted. Rip.
Yeah.
I think he's home. He's either home like today or tomorrow. I think. Yeah.
Where's he? What is he doing? I wasn't here.
He was on a Disney cruise.
Oh,
God!
Wow.
Did they like it?
Rice.
No, he's right. Travis has the correct reaction.
That
to
is
it.
horrifying.
But
it's like
has kids.
That's like two things I never want. That's like saying like I want to say that.
You don't want to be in the happiest place on earth on sea, sir.
Oh man, that's good. Darth, thank you very much. Hoeg will be back next week. Obviously, I'll talk about episode 300 here at the tail end of the show for next week. So, all right. Well, why don't we move on to Concord then, which is kind of one of the more main topics we can talk about this week. So Concord, to give some history on this one. So this is from Firewalk Studio. They were founded in 2018 by, experienced developers with multiplayer pedigree from a wide range of games, I believe, including Bungie, right?
Yep.
And then they were acquired last year, 2023, by PlayStation due to their aspirations for multiplayer and knowing that PlayStation was driving towards more ongoing engagement, monthly active users, live service, et cetera, et cetera.
Importantly, before they made any games, which I think
before they made a single game. Yes. In fact, Herman Holst, I was going through this morning and looking through, but basically they had been working on Concord for a while, obviously by that point. And I think PlayStation was kind of, obviously generally interested given the pedigree, given what they saw. And that's why the acquisition happened. So
they saw the game and they went, is that Overwatch? Step into my office.
They said the focus has always been multiplayer for them. That's just their core tenet for the studio themselves. And anyway, this beta went live on Thursday night, I believe. Right? Yeah, sounds Thursday night. Yep. Running through this weekend. Game launches next month, I believe. And, I think we'll just have to recall that when this game debuted, the first showing of it, social media, at least reception, was not positive on this game. There was a lot of negativity around it that, you get everything from Overwatch clone to the character designs are bad to what are they going for here with this design? What's the game supposed to be? And, at least online, it didn't feel very good about this game. I don't know if you guys kind of felt any differently, but there were a lot of articles, a lot of kind of posts about this game not looking great.
Yeah, I was just laughing because I was thinking of some of the specific posts that your crew was reading on the stream while we were playing it together. Yeah. That just made me laugh every time I think of
it. As here, of course, it's let's play it. Let's see what the game's actually all about. And Travis and I got some time in on Friday night with a crew of 5. So it's 5v5. Got a crew of 5 and we were wrecking, which was awesome. Yeah. I played a couple more hours last night. We got up to a crew of 5 again, which was nice. But I'll start, Travis. I'll just say, Neo, have you played this at all, by the way?
No, I have it downloaded. I might be able to run it with the crew later tonight, depending on how many people commit to it. But no, I haven't got a chance to.
We could get on. I'd be down to get on. Yeah. Okay. So I will say it has pleasantly surprised me from a gameplay perspective. I kind of went in with just blank expectations, because I think that's the only really fair way to kind of judge a game like this. And I think we talk a lot about how much I play multiplayer, especially competitive shooter multiplayer. So I was interested to see how this feels. I will say, from a feel perspective, it's quite solid. The gunplay is smooth, it's accurate, it's solid, it's rather well tuned. Obviously, there's going to be tuning that happens between characters and all that. You expect that in a beta in terms of abilities and gunplay. But it feels good to play. It's very enjoyable. I think what really meshes well is you have 15, I think, characters at launch. And each of them has a different weaponry, different abilities. And the whole idea, of course, is to kind of blend those together with your squad of 5, right? To use your abilities and help each other out, from healing to tanking to damage output, etc. But I think one thing we probably need to call out, Travis, is it doesn't really play, in my opinion, doesn't play exactly like Overwatch. It's kind of like a mix of 5v5, where you have this character-based, ability-based shooter, but it plays, the game modes are more like classic MP that you would find in Call of Duty or Halo or other kind of arena-based shooters.
Valorant. I think it has more inspiration in common with Valorant than Overwatch, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's fair. So you have your deathmatch mode, obviously. You have a kill confirm mode where you kill people, they drop a trophy, and you have to pick it up to get the point, right, to confirm that kill. And then they also have I forget what it's actually called, but there's a competitive mode once you reach level 6, I believe, where you can assemble your squad of 5, and you have to win best of 7. So you have to win 4 rounds, your team does. And when you win a round, you cannot use the same character you used in a previous round. So it's kind of like, forcing you to use different characters and abilities and meshing together. And that's going to be more of the competitive kind of sense of the game. And that has different modes like capture the zone, or, almost like assault in Halo, where you have to pick up a thing, and plant it elsewhere. So I'll kind of pause there, Travis, to let you jump in. But I think, I've really enjoyed myself. Like I said, I played it again last night. And funny enough, we ran into Parallax Stella last night. And her squad was good.
That does not surprise me at all.
No, so they're one of the few. I think we only had 2 or 3 losses last night, but they were one of them.
Nice.
But we had a lot of fun again last night, and I there's a lot of stuff in the game in terms of progression. So there's character outfits, and I think one of the really cool things is there's variants on the characters. So they each have a passive ability, and there's variants to each character that have different passives that you can kind of play into as well. So I said I'm going to stop, and then I kept talking. So
no,
Travis,
good, man.
Make some points for what
I don't have a ton to add. I've played probably about as much as you. I did our session together, Ains, and then I played solo earlier in the day yesterday. And I'm still early, but it is like a hero shooter all the way through, right? So if you're interested in those sorts of games that require teamwork and have interesting characters with likable personalities, that personally I'm really excited to dive more into, or I hope that they dive more into, because that was always something I felt Overwatch didn't do enough of, was they kind of gave you outlines of good characters and then never bothered developing them.
Well, they were supposed to.
Yeah, they're supposed to. Stuff happened. I get it. But yeah, I really like the core gameplay. I think the gunplay is good. It hits a sweet spot for me in between Overwatch's kind of diarrhea Christmas lights and Valorant's like way too fast TTK. I think it's in a really good spot. I still need to play more of it, but I am handling IGN's review. So in addition to playing in the beta, I'm probably going to have a review in progress like on Tuesday or something as early as I can. And then we'll have like over a month long break before I go back to it and play the full version when it comes out. So I'm interested to play a whole lot more, but I'm having a really good time so far. It definitely is, kind of buyer beware out there. Having played it solo, I highly recommend having a group of friends for this one. So if you are playing it alone,
more enjoyable than a crew.
Yeah, if you're playing alone, it is a little, I don't think it's as inviting if you're playing it alone. So yeah, definitely do that. But I think it's good. Yeah.
And one thing to call out, if you're not familiar with this game, it is a paid game. It is not free to play. Which we'll see how that goes. I believe
$40, I think.
$40. Yep, 60 for deluxe, kind of like Overwatch launched back in 2016. Which nowadays, as we talked about with First Descendant and others, personally for me, I prefer that approach. I've seen a lot of issues in free to play games, especially for cheaters or people just dropping games, right, and they'll get banned or whatever, and they just create a new account, keep playing. You know what I mean? It's just endless. You're constantly fighting against that, but no doubt that we've talked about this before on the show, that there's a generation of gamers now, or at least, a percentage of gamers that expect games like this to be free to play, which is a whole nother topic we don't have to dive into here. But, we'll see what kind of audience this garners out of the gate. Now, it is also on Steam, so it's not just PlayStation. It is launching PC and PS, but it's paid on both. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't mind that. And it feels like, I think the thing with being paid, right, is it has to have enough content in it out of the gate for you to unlock. And I think the systems at play, there's missions. I forget, they call it a job board in the game,
Like
but you're
bounties
constantly
and-
like leveling stuff up and unlocking new stuff. And there's, skins and weapon charms, all the usual stuff you expect, but it's all in the game, at least in the beta. So we'll see kind of what the in-game store and what other types of things they introduce over time are. But from a beta perspective, it's quite fun.
Yeah.
So.
And I think Big Box in the comments said that his disappointment was that the game doesn't push anything forward. I think that's my major complaint right now as well, or one of them is that I agree, there's not a ton that it adds that is like new. I would say the multiplayer comp mode and the fact that it forces you to switch characters is really cool, and I haven't seen that before. I think that's something that I really like. But yeah, I agree. There's definitely a valid concern of like, okay, but what's your reason for playing this over Valorant or Overwatch or an existing game? And especially since a lot of those are free to play,
Yep.
I think it is sort of an uphill battle to selling a $40 game when it sort of is a lot of retreading of stuff we've just seen already in games.
Agree.
So.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm curious about, because based off my timeline, what I've seen the past couple of days, your guys' impressions and talk about it today, and just other people I know, everyone is just all over the place. Like, some people really like it, some people are indifferent to it, some people, even in the chat, they just don't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's going to be a lot of competition, because at the end of the day, like, gamers are very, very fickle creatures. Like, yeah, you can dangle something shiny in front of us and say, oh, look, we're different, but they're not going to go from Destiny. They're not going to go from Overwatch. And just based off what I've seen, even though I have it downloaded, I'm going to play it. I'll see what it's all about. Nothing about it just screams to me like, if I was interested in this, I will play it. Maybe if I was someone who had never touched this stuff before, that could be a sell. But realistically, why are you going to play something like this where all your other friends are probably playing Overwatch, or they're playing Destiny, or they're playing something, cut from a similar cloth? And then you have like another game coming out, I think around the same time, maybe Marvel Rivals. And I mean, like that then and there, if you wanted to bring in a casual, it's like, oh, look, you can play a Spider-Man and the Hulk, and
that's free to play too.
And it's free to play as well. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, man, because this is PlayStation's first huge jab at like the whole games as a service model. Like, Helldivers, to me, I think that was kind of like an anomaly, because even though it is a modern online game,
it's also not their game.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't feel like a modern online game, if that makes sense. Like, it felt like something I would play like on the 360 or the PS3, where it's like, I put my time in it, I have fun with it, I put it down, I leave it alone, and then I come back whenever there's like a sizable update. So it's going to be interesting, because they're betting on this. They bought the whole studio and everything. So we'll see.
Yeah, and they've been working 5 years on it, this game, so they've put a lot of time in, and I think some of that shows through. They've obviously taken mechanics from other games that have worked well. It's, like I said, it's well polished. I think the kind of UI and the design of things is really solid. It's a solid game. It's what you would expect from a first party, push. But I think everything that we've said is fair too. It's like, it's not, and Walt brings up in the chat, may not be a popular take, but why does a game need to push a boundary? It's not that it needs to. It's that, to Neo's point and Travis's point, is that this is a space that has endless competition. Endless competition, and you can only play so many of these games. It's what we've talked about so many times on the show. Is like, I'm a Halo player at my core. I'm a Halo player, and so no matter what, well, not no matter what, because I haven't been playing recently, but most of the time I'm going to be playing Halo, and then I'll find time for a few other shooters alongside that. And people have their game. People are Call of Duty players, or they're Overwatch players, or they're Apex players. You know what I mean? And that is your core game. And then you may play a few others on the side here and there. And I think to find an audience that Concord is going to find the people who are going to be Concord players, that's a tough sell. And you have to do something to really pull that in. I am more surprised or I should say not more, but I am surprised that they're not doing, and maybe they do, but do they make this like a PS Plus premium title at launch? It feels like they need to get more people into this game at launch to see what it is, and that the $40, as much as I like it being a paid game, may come back to bite them a bit.
Well, I think there's precedent for games being sold for money at the beginning and then becoming free to play, specifically in this genre and with this type of game. And so I think they probably go that route, is they see how many $40 buyers they can get out of it. And then in a couple months, when the player count goes down, they go free to play with it. And I would be surprised if that wasn't part of the plan. As for the comment about why games need to do new stuff, have new ideas, it's not that they need to. It's just that if they do have new ideas and stuff we've never seen before and they are successful, that the game is better for it. And so it's not really about like, every game has to be groundbreaking for it to be good or worth your time. But I think the ones that are groundbreaking are more worth your time than ones that aren't, right? And so it's more of a nice to have. It's something that would bring a game from an 8 to a 9 or a game from a 9 to a 10 if it manages to do new stuff and the new stuff that it does are successful. But I don't think there's anything wrong with playing a really solid game that doesn't necessarily do anything new. It's just not as good as a game that does do something new. So
or something unique, right?
Or something unique or something you haven't seen before. I mean, new is exciting, and I think people who watch me on the show know that I'm a type of person who really does value that a lot, like having new stuff, because I get bored by things I've already seen. And that's why we have Hoeg on the show, is the opposite of that guy who gets mad at things that he hasn't seen before and only wants stuff that he has seen. So if you have that worldview, we have Hoeg here most of the time to be that counterpoint.
Hoeg's relaxing on a cruise somewhere and catching strays, like just laying there with his whatever he's doing on the
it was not a stray. I was aiming at him.
It was aimed directly at him.
Yeah, it was explicit.
It's funny. James Thomas says we could have gotten Twisted Metal. Let that sink in. And I'm like, man, you know how many times I've talked about wanting a modern Twisted Metal with like battle royale and
you only get a show. You got your TV show. Be happy.
Hey, I like the show. It's goofy as hell, but I liked it.
Surprising. Like I went into that thinking like, yeah, it's gonna be whatever. And then I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And the last episode really sets up well. Like the last episode was pure Twisted Metal. Like if you haven't watched it. Yeah,
PlayStation's very confusing with the way they do things. It's like some stuff makes sense, like you have the Last of Us games, you have a Last of Us show, and then you have something like Twisted Metal, where we were gonna get a game, but then now we're not, and then now we have Gravity Rush, where we've had nothing for almost a decade, yet we're getting a whole movie. I'm like, okay,
yeah, they're all over the place. But as a Halo fan, I'm not going to talk about the Halo show, so we'll just move right on from that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Concord does. I know a lot of people are calling this game dead, and if you take the social media kind of feel about it, I will say from the people I've gamed with on it, which have been several now, and some of the commentary I've seen online of people playing it, like people I think are enjoying it more than they expected to. Like I think Travis, I won't speak for you, but I know I did. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. And I found myself last night like wanting to play one more game, which is always the feeling you want to get with a game like this. Like, all right, let's play one more. All right, let's play one more.
And to that point about a game being, kind of burning out, I think that does happen a lot in this genre. And there's a few things they can do to mitigate that. First of all, I don't think in the live service space it's necessarily a zero-sum game. I mean, there's certainly some of that, right? If a new live service game that is a hero shooter that's better than this one, they will likely take players from this game. But also games that are live service can have second lives, right? They can come out with new characters or new mode or new season or something, and that can reinvigorate kind of interest in it. And then players from the new Marvel game can come back to this game, and then Marvel will do something new, and then people will go back to that one. So I think these games have life cycles is the thing we've learned. Some of them crash and burn because they don't do enough to keep players' attention. But I think this company's got a lot of smart people on it. Sony's got some experience now with what works and doesn't work in this space. And so I think this has as good a chance as succeeding as any game. Right now, I'm focused on is the game that we have right now good to play, and I think it is. And really, that's all that matters. As a player, you shouldn't be all that concerned with if a game's going to be successful in the long term unless you have a financial interest in that. Because if you play a game and you have fun with it and then it dies later after you and everybody else has stopped playing it, it doesn't really affect you. The only time it really affects you is if you're Hoeg and you're the only person still playing Skull and Bones, then it really does affect you. But that's pretty rare.
Where is everybody?
Yeah, I think that I think we try to do a good job here, especially of like, not just diving into the social media narrative, because that's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
So we play the game, we'll talk about what the game actually is. And I think Travis is exactly right. Like, if you enjoy the game, play it. Like, you shouldn't be worried about, the success of that game, unless you're investing a ton of money, a free to play game or something. You hope it survives. That's kind of an interesting conversation, but it's a good game. I think that one of the things that, to that point about survival, and we talk about this, feels like endlessly, Travis, is they've talked about these weekly lore drops, kind of like story, cinematics and whatnot with the characters. And it's a character-based game, and it's a game that relies on certain maps and modes, right? Like any other shooter in the space. How prepared are they to deliver ongoing content? Because right now, even in the beta, I'm like, last night, I think we played 4 matches in a row on the same map. And the maps are fine. They're not, I wouldn't call them especially creative. They're very, they're very
some
straightforward.
arenas that I was like, okay, I like this one. But yeah, a lot of them, it's like random hallways, random corners,
Yeah, and they're not bad. They're just, they're nothing crazy. And I just think like a lot of their survival is going to depend on that, like how quickly they can deliver and kind of keep things engaged with the community. So we'll see.
Yeah, I will say I'm interested in the apparently the weekly lore drops that they're doing. That seems like it could be really cool. And I guess I'm just curious to see what that means, if we're getting cutscenes or if we're just getting new, journal entry that I've got to read or whatever. But that was one of the things I saw online people were talking about, and I was like, okay, well that I want to see. That I want to see.
Yeah.
More.
I see a few people in the chat mentioning Frag Punk. So I don't know if I can talk about it. I tried looking up. I've played Frag Punk, and I don't know if I can talk about it. So I tried looking up in the. Yeah, I looked up in the press emails about whether or not there's a embargo or an NDA. I didn't sign an NDA, but whether there's an embargo or anything, and I don't know, so I can't. I got to err on the side of caution. I can't. I'm not going to say anything about it. But it is
have
another
other
game.
Outlets talked about it? Have you seen other?
I don't know
stories. Okay, that's usually what I usually look at that if I'm not sure.
That is a good idea, honestly.
Frag Punk preview. That's usually a good way. And if you see people saying like, I played it at Gamescom, usually it's pretty. Or I guess you were at Summer Game Fest.
We're gonna learn today.
I don't see it. Maybe
no previews.
I can't tell if they're just talking about the reveal or if they're actually talking about playing it.
Yeah, if you don't see stuff that's like called Frag Punk hands-on preview, then I would just not talk about it.
Oh no, okay. All right, some people have, yes.
Okay.
So I'll just say I played Frag Punk a little bit. I was being honest with you, from what I've played, this is just going on what I've played. I've enjoyed my time in Concord more than Frag Punk. But I think, to other people's point, Frag Punk so far definitely has I like a lot of what it's doing with kind of, obviously the cards are kind of the selling thing, how you can, things kind of happen and stuff. So that's really neat. I haven't played it enough to see that develop. You know what I mean? Like to really see how many cards there are, how crazy it can get, that type of thing. The gunplay in it is pretty solid, though I felt that the mode and the map I was playing on early on were pretty generic. So I kind of lost interest pretty quickly in that perspective. Like the gunplay wasn't very deep, I guess is the right word. I think one of the things I liked about Concord so far is what I call outplayability, right? So if you play a lot of shooters, how much of an outplayability does the game offer? So if you think about Twitch shooters, something like Call of Duty where TTK is really short, you can still have outplayability just by your movement, by streaks you can go on, etc. Something like Gears or Halo, where the skill gap and outplayability gets even higher, right? Where you can really start to outplay depending on certain things. Concord kind of has that. You can kind of, use your abilities, use your movement, use your dodges and certain things to really kind of outplay in teams and go on streaks, which I think is really fun. That adds depth to it, in my opinion. Whereas Frag Punk looked a little more, or felt a little more straightforward. So I do have to play it more. It was only an alpha, so more to come, but we'll see. So, all right. So that's Concord. Anything else before we jump forward? All right. I guess it'd be interesting to see how this game launches. We'll see what the reception is to it. We'll obviously talk more about it once it's out. I've got a community. There's several people at SG that are going to be buying it and playing it. So, we'll talk a lot more about that after that game launches. And I think the more interesting conversation we can't touch on today for me is if Concord crashes and burns, let's say it does really poorly, right? What's that mean for Firewalk? What's that mean for PlayStation's plans of, maybe some other multiplayer projects that they have in flight that we haven't seen yet? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But
I will say one thing that concerns me a little bit is that I don't know if PlayStation has a huge, this is not the sort of game I would expect PlayStation fans to have a lot of exposure to and a lot of interest in, right? Because they don't have a lot of games like this. And that could be a good thing. It could be oh, well, there's just nothing like this on PlayStation except for Overwatch and now everybody's on it. But it could also be a bad thing, right? If everyone on PlayStation is like Neo and they just play JRPGs and they don't really like multiplayer games or online games or comp games like this, I could see that being a trouble because it is a PlayStation exclusive. It being on Steam, I think, is a really smart move because that's going to help their odds a lot. But when I think of games like if this was on Xbox, obviously the player base would be probably lower, but I would be oh, that's kind of the type of game I know a lot of Xbox people like to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just
feels
something
like
I
that.
think about. It's I'm wondering how many people that own PlayStations are Hoeg and Dan and Neo who just don't want to be bothered by getting into a party and playing a multiplayer game, because just this sample size is pretty damning against this is not the type of game PlayStation people like. But I think I'm probably wrong. I think the PlayStation fan base is changing, and at Helldivers 2 you saw that lots of people on that platform do like to get online, although unclear how much of that was on Steam. But
that's the thing I did want to expand on, not to cut you off, Haynes.
No, you're fine, go.
Okay, so I definitely will cut you off more often.
Do it.
No, but Travis, no, you're onto something, because that is something that we noticed a lot towards the tail end of the PS3 generation. It seemed like almost every single PlayStation studio had a multiplayer project. I think at one point within a 3-month time span, they had Killzone 3, SOCOM 4, Warhawk. A few months later, it was Resistance 3. Yeah, they had all these multiplayer games.
What happened
at the same time? Yeah. Well, part of it was.
Well, he's about to tell you.
I got everything here.
It was a setup. You didn't have to. That was the setup.
Yeah. I mean, part of it, I like to think that they cannibalized each other, because if you have all of these games coming out at the same time and they all play relatively similar, with the exception of something like a Starhawk or a Mag or whatever that's just so different, where are you going to find the time to play them? And then obviously, there's a quality control that comes with that too. Only the best one survives in the era of Call of Duty. But then PlayStation steered away from that in the PS4 generation. They just went back to the single player focused games, single player narratives. That's where they really adopted the big budget focus on all their games. We're going to put all this money into that. And multiplayer, we're going to leave that to our third parties. We can't beat Call of Duty, so why try to beat Call of Duty? And then they realized now why that's a problem, and then everything that happened with the whole ABK thing and how they could have lost Call of Duty. That's where they're just we need to have a live service stuff. And I mean, yeah, we don't want to discredit gamers and their taste, because they could like it. But I think what it comes down to is you have to make something that's interesting enough and not just a less toxic version of Overwatch or something like that. You got to do a little more. Whereas with the Xbox side of things, just because they've always had some form of a multiplayer game out there, whether it's Halo, Gears, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, yeah, sure, they won't have a lot of people playing if a Concord came over, but it's like you said, it makes sense to put that there. But we'll see. This isn't their only endeavor. They have Concord. I think Jade Raymond's studio is doing the Extraction shooter.
Mhm. Yep.
So we'll see. That's
The
another.
marathon's coming too.
Yeah,
It's
marathon.
entirely anecdotal. It's just mostly
Yeah.
that the people that I know who are PlayStation gamers don't really like multiplayer shooters or online games like this. And Kei Asante is saying something that I totally connect with, which is that he's been playing First Descendant, and almost everyone he meets is an Xbox player. That was
Oh.
the exact situation I had. Like, I think I saw like 1 or 2 people that were on PlayStation. Everyone else was Xbox or Steam. And I don't think that's to say that because like fewer people own PlayStations, that's obviously like demonstrably false. It's just I don't know that they mess with these types of games. I kind of think like if you own a PlayStation, it's because you like God of War and you like Spider-Man and you like single player story focused games, the stuff that Sony does well that you know is going to be on their platform. And I think that if you tend to like multiplayer online games, you either play on Steam or Xbox. So I think it's very smart of them to put this on Steam. I'd be willing to bet money that they sell way more copies on that platform than they do on PlayStation. But for me, it's a question of like, how much does this speak to Sony's core audience? And how much is this a play on them trying to expand the types of games that their audience plays, or expand their market share to gain more players who like this sort of game? It'll be interesting. I mean, we've seen successes. We've seen Sea of Thieves sell really well on PlayStation. Not really the same thing, but it is an online multiplayer game. So I'll be interested to see how they do.
They got a lot. They had 12, and then I think they delayed half of them, but they have a lot of those coming. A lot.
And you know why that is, right? It's because the DualSense is not made for multiplayer games.
Ooh,
I'm kidding.
Someone's gonna clip that.
Yeah. I was bitching about it last night again. I'm like, dude, I can't use this controller for this. I got to get it on Steam so I can play Scuff or something. Like, it's not the same. It doesn't work. Jokes aside. What was I also going to say? Shout out to Asante, by the way, in the chat. Good to see you. Commander Keys, his alter ego. That's
yes. Don't let him forget that. Yes.
No, never, absolutely not. All right, let's move on from that. And Dan touched on this a little bit earlier in terms of usage, anyway. But I wanted to talk about the Game Pass price increase. We saw all kinds of ridiculousness with this week, and I talked about this a lot on Cast Co-op. So if you're already kind of in the season gaming universe, if you will, me, Joe, and Luke talked a lot about this. But essentially what happened is Xbox came out this week. They did raise the price of Game Pass. They kind of talked about their new tiers, as we seem to get in many areas of this. It's a little confusing. We have all the details directly from Xbox on SG on the main site. I kind of pulled off of there and put in bullets for you, so you can check that out if you need the details. But essentially what's going on here is, if you're an Ultimate subscriber, which, I think at least from most of the people, we know, who are the kind of the hardcore gamers who want those day one releases, et cetera, right? That's going from $16.99 a month to $19.99 a month. So in US anyway. So it's gone up $3 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. In a couple months, they said they're introducing Xbox Game Pass Standard while getting rid of Console. And Standard is going to be $15 a month. So $5 less. You get the online multiplayer. You get some games, some catalog of games they haven't described yet, but day one releases you won't get. They will be delayed. According to Jez, who spoke to Xbox, delayed anywhere typically from 6 to 12 months. So basically at this point, you can get Game Pass and your online and your perks and everything for $15 a month. If you want the day one releases, like they've basically said you get with Game Pass since the beginning, it's $5 more a month.
I didn't know that.
$20. But there are 4 to 5 tiers now, because you have Core, which it was like the replacement for Xbox Live Gold, where you get your basic online multiplayer and stuff. Then you have PC. Then you have Ultimate, right, which is what most of us do. And then you have Standard, which is the new one that's going to be coming out. And like I said, I'm not going to break down every single detail about every plan here. But what I will say, top down, and this is true of PlayStation as well with their 3 tiers. One, I think you should have 2 tiers tops for both of them. Have your entry level and your gamer level, right? Your core gamer level. That's my opinion. But I think they've made this a little confusing. or a lot confusing, depending on your perspective. And I think breaking it out this way is kind of odd. You know, you have this narrative that you do at your showcases, that your big events, and all of your interviews. That with Game Pass, you get everything that Xbox makes first party day one, and they doubled down on that. What was it, 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago with Call of Duty, right? And Activision Blizzard, which is like you're getting Black Ops 6 day one, and everything coming from the future, like we've promised, you're getting day one. But now you're going to have 2 tiers of Game Pass you can subscribe to on a monthly basis, annual basis. You don't get day one releases. And I think that's just kind of weird, right? It doesn't affect me. I'm Ultimate. I'm going to be Ultimate. You know, we're the hardcore gamers, most of us here. But generally speaking, I think you start to think about the big market. It just convolutes it a little bit. And I think it's kind of a weird way to approach it. But again, I'm no expert. I'm just playing games. But that's what it looks like to me. So,
yeah, I would say I think the tier situation is worse than the price increase situation.
Agreed.
Like creating a complicated product where people aren't really sure what they're getting, it just already exhausts me, and I'm somebody who like knows how the tiers work. I can't even imagine being like a casual on the outside who doesn't really get which version I'm supposed to buy. It's kind of the same thing when you click on a game you want to buy, and then it says which edition do you want, and it has like 6 editions, and you have to like scroll through to read each of them. I can't imagine how complicated that is with Game Pass. So I think like paying $3 more kind of makes sense. Like they bought Activision, there's going to be a lot more games on Game Pass in the future. It's probably higher costs. They've got to make the margins make sense for them. I get that. Plus, you know, inflation, everything's going up in price right now. But I do think the tier thing is like way worse, because that's just like an unforced error. That's
I agree with you.
Making it complicated for no reason and making it, you know, they had I think the best thing about Game Pass when it launched was how easy how like easy it was to understand. It was like pay $10, get access to all these games. Great. Awesome. Great marketing.
It's very direct. Yes.
Very direct. And now it's like get Game Pass Ultimate and get everything plus day one, plus, you know, all this other stuff. Buy our core tier if you just want gameplay. And I get that they're trying to provide players with choice. I just think they need to make those choice clearer, simpler, and probably have fewer options, because I don't think you need to split it.
I said on cast, like and again, I don't have all the data, right? I don't have everything that Microsoft's looking at for this globally, right? But just from my point of view, is it having core where you still need to pay to get online multiplayer in 2024 is odd, first of all. So I would just have, you know, I think it would be much more clear if it was just 2, right? Like have core, which is, you know, you get a catalog of games, you get other perks, whatever benefits, and then have Ultimate, which is like today. You get day one, you get PC and console, you get everything kind of put together, right? Just have 2, entry level and top level. And it's kind of like the extra tier on the PlayStation side, that middle tier. It's like, you know, it's like plus gasoline. Like, you know, what are you even doing? You're wasting your money. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. Either buy what your car needs to run, or put the premium in. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think they've convoluted that even more than PlayStation, which I thought was a challenge to begin with. So kind of odd, but Neo, I was going to jump to you as the guest. Like, do you have Ultimate today? Do you mess with Game Pass? And like,
absolutely.
What do you think about this?
Absolutely. I've been an Ultimate subscriber since I got my Xbox One X back in 2020. And it's been a service that I'm just going to stay subscribed to, because there's always something in there that I want to play, even if it's just like one game a month. It's great for me, and it makes things in my life a little more convenient. Okay, so as far as like the pricing stuff, let's get that out of the way, because that's the easiest. I don't think anyone around here is complaining about the price increase. Not saying that people agree with it, but it's the nature of the world that we live in. Everything has gone up. You go to the grocery store, your subscription services here, we know it. People, it is what it is. And then when you factor in what is about to happen with all the Activision stuff coming into the fray, yeah, that's going to be a lot of good perceived value. My biggest problem with the pricing is that, again, this is just another example of Microsoft. The rake is right there. They see the rake, and yet they still step on it every single time. Price increases, you don't do that before you add value to the service. Price increases is after you see people have become acclimated with it. They're absorbing the content. Wow, we have all the back catalog of Activision games. Oh my God, everybody is loving Black Ops 6. Like, this is our roadmap for the next 6 months. And then after you have all that stuff, you pepper in some bad news. Like, oh yeah, Ultimate, it's going up $5. But you just got a brand new Call of Duty game that you guys are loving, 90 on Metacritic. Like, you guys are, woo, it's great, it's awesome. To do it right before, I don't understand this. And again, we don't have the telemetry and the data. Maybe Microsoft knows more than us. I wouldn't believe that at this rate, given the state of things and how they're not selling consoles. So I'm just gonna assume that it's not working. The tier system, okay. All right. So you got Game Pass Core, online multiplayer. Awesome.
It's Xbox Live.
Yeah, which is Xbox Live essentially. And then if they want to throw in like a curated list of games to maybe entice you to spend the extra $10 a month, that's a great idea. And then you got the big boy Game Pass Ultimate, $20 a month, $10 a month. There's a huge difference between the two of them. And then if you see that there's a lot of value by paying that extra $10, sure, you subscribe. But when you introduce that Game Pass standard, what are you getting out of that? So you're paying $5 more for timed exclusivity of these games that come 6 months to a year later? Like, what are you getting out of that situation? Like, I genuinely do not understand what you're getting, paying $5 more to get games a year later. For what? For what? I don't understand this. I don't get it. The whole slogan and the mantra for the past 4 years has been play it first or play it now on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah,
literally play it on Game Pass. That's been
Day
their
one.
thing. They're selling Game Pass. It's been the platform for 4 years now. And then now you're doing this. And I don't get it. Microsoft, we like options. We like the ability to like customize our controllers. And we have 40 different controllers for every single mood that we have. This doesn't make sense.
I think I know why they're doing this. I think Microsoft as a company is doing a completionist run on those rakes.
Oh, are you telling me that they're trying to like complete their Microsoft reward challenges for the day?
Yeah, they're trying to get that platinum on the rake stepping simulator. It's nice.
So what they're trying to offer, it's similar to the Plus, right? On the extra. The standard is like you get this catalog of games too. You just don't get the day one launches, right? So it's like if you want access to these games now, again, perceived value, right? It depends. Obviously, everyone individually will put a value on that for themselves, but it just makes it more confusing. And Asante brings up a point that I was going to bring up as well in the chat, which is we were just talking with Dan, right, about resubscribing to Game Pass to play through Fire Stick or to get your cloud kind of access, right, to play. And it seems like you only get that with the $20 with Ultimate, right? So the whole idea seems counterintuitive, at least again, outside looking in, where it's like you're trying to introduce people to the Xbox ecosystem, not having to buy a console with your Fire Stick. And obviously we know like the TV apps and the other stuff they're working on to get people into that ecosystem. But then are you telling those people that to access it, they have to buy the highest form of subscription, right? Which is your Ultimate for $20 a month to get that access. Almost seems counterintuitive. And then on top of that, by the way, sorry, Dan, one more point real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
On top of that, they also noted that, a lot of us have talked on this show many times about stacking, right? We've stacked years. I think I'm good through like 2027 or something. So it says right here, Xbox, as of September 18th, again, this is directly from their site. As of September 18th, the maximum extension limit of Game Pass for console, this is the one that's going away, will be 13 months. This will not impact any time you currently have stacked, but they're basically weaning off Game Pass for console to make sure, you can't kind of keep the console one for 5 years from now. You know what I mean? Because they want to get people off of that plan. So, Dan, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Guys, just be honest, man. Here's the thing. Everybody, the game price isn't that big of a deal. We normalize this stuff by just accepting it and laying back and just being like, oh, Netflix went up and Hulu went up and Disney went up and went up and PlayStation has this. Shut up. This is not this isn't good for anybody. Right?
Nobody said it was.
Game Pass. I haven't had it for 2 years. You know why? Because of this garbage. Because when I signed up for it, I had like 3 years stacked up, ready to go. I was so excited for day and date, and they haven't given us diddly shit the entire damn time. We've been sitting here for 8 years or whatever it's been out, and we've gotten Forza, we've gotten a Halo game, we get a bunch of these little indie games that I don't play. I want some big. I've been waiting for big day and date stuff, and guess when it happens? After they increase the price for Game Pass Ultimate, so I can get my day and date stuff next year. That's garbage, man. They also came out and said, no, we're not going to increase Game Pass prices because we got Activision. They said that. They said, Phil Spencer said that. You can sit here and defend his stupid moronic butt as much as you guys want. All right. But it's the truth. I'm just tired of this. We just stop. Expect more. Now we shouldn't have to pay more all the damn time. What do we get? What did we get from Game Pass all of a sudden in September that all of a sudden our price goes up? I mean, what? We got Redfall and Starfield last year, really? I mean, all right, we're getting COD. Who gives a crap? People aren't gonna. If you're paying for Game Pass for COD,
well, I mean, you may not care.
Hold on. Yeah, no. If you're paying for Game Pass just for COD, you're an idiot. All right, because you can just buy the game and be done with it. All right, I bought 10 like the 1 month deals, right? That you can get as soon as I saw this news, because I'm going to use it when I want it. It's like, okay, this comes out. Okay, I'll just pop one of the months in, and I can do 2 or 3 games. Might be 2026 by the time I use them, at the rate that they're going. But I mean, it's just crazy to me that we sit here and we're like, oh, it's a nothing burger, it's a couple bucks. But yeah, then you do that with that. Then you do that with your other streaming services. Then you do that with gas, and then you do that with food. It's just we need to stop normalizing it and be like, oh, this is just the way it is. It's not. It doesn't have to be. Or you can just say, hell, you know what? I'm good. You know what? I don't have PlayStation Plus either anymore. It just ran out. I don't care because I don't use it.
Hold on, but yeah, well, that's the point.
Don't defend. This is not good. This is not good.
Shout out to James who said you're spiraling like Drake.
It's crazy. I don't even know what that means.
But Dan, hold on.
No.
Calm down.
I wanted this.
You don't play these games. We know that, right?
I want to play these games.
No. Hold on. You want to play the big blockbusters.
Yes.
That Xbox has been talking about and showing for years. I completely agree with you. We have talked about that nonsense. I completely agree. But outside of that, Game Pass has been crushing it with game releases. There's just games you don't play, which is fine, right? Because it doesn't give you the value, right? It doesn't make sense for you to subscribe because you're not playing those games.
Right.
Yeah.
But we it's not like we sit here and go, oh, okay, it's fine. $20. Where's there, the day and date games for, third party indie games that come out that, are 2D pixelated side scrollers. That's fine.
But I love those games.
And that's fine. That's what I'm saying. If you like the kind of game, then go ahead and play it. Right. But when this whole thing was launched, what they put out there and what it was supposed to be it's still not it. It's still not this crazy, and we're the fact that either PlayStation or Xbox
the first party AAA game per quarter we've talked about.
It's been garbage. It's been garbage, and we've
all right. It's not been garbage.
We said, oh, we need to hit this stride. We've been saying that for 5 years, right? We need to hit this cadence of it. We've been saying that for years. But we're still okay with it. We're still like, yeah, it'll happen eventually.
You're not wrong.
I'm going to be dead.
I don't think anybody's okay with it, man. Nobody here was saying.
I think you are because you guys don't care. You guys just sit here and you say, this is nothing burger.
I know.
Because for me, I know this. Yeah, for me, $20 a month is absolutely worth it for Game Pass because I play a lot of those games.
Sure, value is subjective. I get that part.
Yeah.
Right. Totally understand it.
That's why we're saying it's not a big deal because the value's there.
Listen, Ains, what you don't understand is that this man just bought a Fire Stick and he has to $20 a month to just cloud stream.
Exactly. I have to pay $20.
I got the solution. Might I interest you in the Fire Stick tier? It's about $13.99 a month.
I'll take the
all your woes are gone.
That's the least of the problems of the tiers. The tiers are fine. Are they confusing a little bit? But who cares? It's fine. You'll figure it
Well,
out.
I
You're
think,
not an idiot.
I think the tiers is way worse than the price increase.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
that's where
no,
my mind is
yeah.
at too.
No,
yeah, no, I agree. I think, I mean,
not even close.
while I disagree with a lot of aspects of what Dan you're saying, I do agree 100% that they have talked about the cadence of delivery, the game a quarter. We've been having that conversation for a very long time.
4 years,
Long
man.
time. Right,
Yeah,
the
it's at
AAA
300.
situation, I would say, is very bad. I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
it's garbage because I try not to describe things that way. But yeah, that's a like Game Pass is clearly not for Dan because he likes AAA games, and Game Pass doesn't have a lot of those. I mean, that's just a
well,
fact
day
of the matter
one, right?
now.
Like, yeah.
Right now, that's how it is, and I think that'll change. But yeah, I mean, I had no problem with what you're saying. Although I would like to point out that earlier this episode you were saying wealth is wealth, and I have wealth, and now you're complaining about $3 more.
Oh,
But you know,
That's not the problem.
but whatever. I mean,
haven't had
again,
it.
wealth isn't wealth.
Wealth is wealth.
Dan got money.
Here's the
Hashtag
thing.
Dan
It
got
has
money.
nothing to do with it. Nothing. It's the fact that we completely just kind of just like, oh, you're gonna.
I get what you're
All
saying.
right, that's fine.
I get what you're saying.
No
I get what you're
You're right.
saying too, man.
You're
I
right.
get it. But nobody here is saying it's good. We're just
No
saying
one
it's
here.
not that bad. And like the
It's
whole idea of
terrible.
like don't normalize it. I don't think humans have the power to normalize or not normalize. It is normal. This is price increases are normal. That's the way the free market works, right?
It's always
Prices
been
go
like
up.
Sure.
Consumers
Sure.
respond
I
to that.
understand
They
that.
either divest from that thing or they pay
And
more
like-
money.
And like
That's
Neo
normal.
said, right? You
Yeah.
you want the value there before you do the price increase, right?
There we go.
That's
100%.
what you're trying to do. And I'm
Yes.
saying that hasn't, for me anyway, hasn't happened. And that's why it's been 2 years since I've been subscribed because, but I bought these. I figured I'd buy all these things up at $10 a piece and then, for 12 months or whatever, and then call it good. And I should be good for probably 5 to 6 years. Good for me, as long as those don't, for some reason, they were like, nah, that just gives you, like they did with like the EA cards and stuff. At first they were like, oh yeah, this, everything gets you this. And then they changed the value of those cards arbitrarily even though it says Game Pass Ultimate. That's the only thing I'm worried about. And I don't want, because I'm excited for some of these games that are coming out for Xbox. And that's what, I want to play Indiana Jones. I want to play, Perfect Dark. I want to play.
I think that's what they're getting ahead of, right? That's what I was going to say next. Is I think to Neo's point and your point is like Hellblade 2, and I've said this on other shows, or maybe I've said it here too. According to them, now they've got to deliver. I'm not saying they have delivered. According to them, Hellblade 2 was the start of their first party AAA game per quarter. And they have Avowed, and they have Indiana Jones, and now they have Call of Duty, right? All coming this year. Let's not forget Diablo 4 is in there, right? That's all coming this year. And then obviously, we know there's slate next year. We just got off let's not forget, we just got off an amazing showcase. We all agreed that showcase was fantastic. And they feel, I think, to Neo's point, they're probably a few months ahead of the game, but they feel like, okay, now the value's there. And I would also point out, not trying to defend necessarily, but one thing that gets looked at are the acquisitions, Bethesda, Activision, right? What is less reported on is the fact that they have invested substantially in the studios that they either already had or that they acquired in 2018, right? So the Compulsion games, South by Midnight, right? The Undead Labs, right? State of Decay 3, all these studios in Exile, they've invested in heavily, right? So I think I'm reading it as they feel they are finally post-ABK acquisition, development time now behind them, not behind them, but development time kind of having taken these last few years. They're finally in that position to be able to deliver the original promise, or the promise we heard pretty early on, which was a game a quarter, right? They wanted to get to. I think they feel they're there, and that's why they're saying, okay, come on this ride.
That promise wasn't right at the beginning, though.
No, that's why I said what they got to eventually, right?
Yeah.
Where they were saying game per quarter. And they've been pretty clear, I would say, about that this year. Now, do they still have to deliver? Absolutely. Do we know if these games are going to be amazing? Absolutely not. We don't know. But I think they feel that that's where they've gotten to. And that value, like we will always say, that value is going to be individual. Only you can determine 100%. That value. I know for me, just this next week, which we were going to kind of close with, but we get Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, and Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. 2 games I probably would have bought anyway, because they're both interesting to me, are coming out this week on Game Pass, which is fantastic. I love that. So the value is always there for me. But for you, Dan, we've joked many times on the show. You like your big AAA games. You like your big releases. You got college football, which obviously not in Game Pass. So whether that value is there for you or not. But the last thing I would point out, which for some reason we seem to forget, or it feels like people forget, I think because Xbox has associated themselves with Game Pass so heavily, like Xbox has now been the Game Pass ecosystem, right? People forget it. Game Pass is just an option. You can treat the Xbox
when you're playing on the Fire Stick, though.
Well,
right?
Yeah. So but hold on. That's separate. You can treat Xbox ecosystem just like you can PlayStation. You can ignore your subscription. You can buy whatever game you want to buy and just play it like you would Nintendo or PlayStation or any other platform, right? The other thing you get with Xbox that you don't get, I pointed this out earlier in this week, right, is that you do get the full cross-play, cross-buy, cross-save, where you can play on PC and console. That may not matter to you individually, but it's the only ecosystem that does that. If I buy Spider-Man on PlayStation, I'm paying $70 for a game on PlayStation that's going to come out a year or two later on PC that's going to be $70. Whereas on Xbox, if I buy Forza, I can play it on PC, I can play it on Xbox, I can play crossplay with my friends, and my save is always with me, or I can play it on cloud, right? There's additional value that I think gets overlooked for Game Pass Ultimate and the Xbox ecosystem, which I think needs to be accounted for.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff doesn't affect me one bit.
No, again,
it's fine. Totally subjective. I'm just glad I'm looking at the chat, like the panties in a bunch over here. That's, they've got this game. This game's coming this month. This is coming over here. Calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Calm down. The value is subjective. All right.
I appreciate your perspective, Dan. I appreciate you as a consumer pushing back on that. I think we have a good sample size. We got two people here who say Game Pass is worth $20 a month, and they're both paying for it. We have one person saying that Game Pass is not worth $20 a month and they're not subscribing to it. That's the way this is supposed to work, man. That's the invisible hand of the market at work right there. So time will tell if they prove the value there, and if they don't, then their product is doomed to fail, right?
Well, and as we always say, we're not an echo chamber podcast. Like, if you want people to just be an echo chamber, you're on the wrong show. I think it's absolutely good that we have this debate and discussion. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, that would be a really good name for a podcast, though. The Echo Chamber podcast, where it's just
I can give you a list of them if you want.
No, I want it to be called the Echo Chamber.
I think
we know the ones.
Yeah, I want to be really self-aware. Welcome to Echo Chamber podcast, and then it's just four people just
saying the same thing
over and over again. I'm having a great day. Yeah, me too. Yeah, a great day too. How about you? I'm having a great day.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? You're so right, and I say that all the time because that's exactly how I feel as well.
Yes.
Chat, please tell me talk about how to feel. Oh my god.
Yeah. Go ahead, Neo. What were you gonna say?
No, I will say just that.
I'm good.
No, just to egg Dan on a little bit. I do think paying $20 a month just for Xbox Cloud streaming is a wild concept.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Because that, at least because I listen, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be honest. People who are paying the $20 a month, they're getting it for the console, they're getting it for the local play, and the cloud streaming is that benefit. Like, listen, I'm at my girlfriend's place. I don't want to bring anything.
It's an add-on. Yeah,
it's a nice little like sprinkles on top. But if you said I had to pay $20 a month for that, listen, Dan, I feel your pain, bro. I would have to open up another one. I would have to.
Here's the deal. I have an Xbox Series X. I have a PlayStation 5. We have another PlayStation 5 in the house. I let my kids use my Series X because there's really nothing I needed to play that I could play somewhere else, right? So at that point,
on your Fire Stick,
and that was for like a year, and I think I grabbed it and borrowed it for Starfield and Hellblade 2 and just played off of their Game Pass accounts. And then as soon as this Fire Stick stuff came out, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be like he said, like Asante said earlier, charging $20 for something that should be, and you guys just called it, it's just an extra, an add-on. If that kind of thinking is not going to grow Xbox's plan here.
That's what I said. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But that
sounds like you think the tiers are a problem.
This actually works really well. It works really well for what it is. I can use a PlayStation controller. I can use an Xbox controller. I use my Luna controller. Everything that I have.
Did you just say Luna controller?
He has a Luna controller. He's one of the 8.
I do.
Wow.
So do
I would say it's better than the Xbox controller. It's got the same
Whoa.
layout.
Oh my God, who would win in
I
a
do.
fight? Luna
It's
Luna
heavier.
controller,
It's
Luna
that
controller
heavy-
boyfriend or Stadia?
You got to get the
Dan
Elite
has
man.
weird opinions. Just let him roll.
That man
I'm
said the
telling you, I
Luna
love
controller is
Luna
better than
controller.
I.
It's the
never
same
seen
layout
anybody
as the
love
Xbox
Luna.
controller.
I will say
What the heck does
the
this look
Luna
like?
controller feels like the Xbox controller if it was made by the people that made Roku.
Oh God.
What are you talking about? Have you
It
even
feels like the
used it?
Roku controller. It's got the same color. It just reminds me of Roku.
Crazy.
Oh man,
You know, the
It's got
one with the
some weight
purple
to it.
D-pad?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. All right.
You know, it's got that
Oh,
heft.
God.
You know, like that old Nacon. You know,
I've got one.
controllers.
Hey,
I played on
don't
it
sleep on the
before.
Nacons. I
I love
will
them.
cap for
I love
Nacon all
Nacons.
day.
They got a new
Yeah,
one
I mean-
actually.
think
know.
I'm a little
Yeah.
spoiled by the Elite controller. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
beat that.
I need that V3, man.
Also, Luna doesn't make left-handed controllers, and I want to complain about that here publicly.
Let it be known.
Yeah, let it be known they do not make left-handed controllers, which I find offensive. It is very hard on us left-handed folk.
I'm left-handed.
Me,
You
wait,
are?
You're
You
left-handed
have a
too?
left-handed controller? Wait, are there 3 of us
I'm
here?
left-handed. Yeah, I'm lefty-handed.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
my God! Yes.
Now it all makes sense.
You're
Now it all makes sense.
Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for the lefties.
Bro, look,
Holy
it even
crap.
adds up if you look at the box.
Wait,
AIDS
so
to
can I
Travis
ask you
to
guys
me,
some
it's
questions? Like, do you guys change it so that your left hand is the aiming stick and the
No.
right hand is?
No,
I do
don't
not.
do that.
Oh my God! So you
Your
aim
mind.
with your offhand?
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh my
I've gotten
God.
accustomed to that. I don't use a mouse with my left hand either. I
Oh my God!
Yeah. Yeah, I use right. So I'm weird, man. I am left-handed. I play like, you play sports. That's usually like the dictator of like kind of what
Mhm.
you are. I play
Yeah.
hockey, which I played my whole life, right-handed. I swing a golf club right-handed. In baseball, I bat right-handed, but I play field left-handed. So it's
Okay.
kind of, I'm all over the place. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
I've gotten to Neo's point. I've gotten too used to
Yeah.
gaming my whole life default. And so it's
Okay.
just,
I will
Yeah.
say it does make sense because I always wondered when I was younger why, like, whenever you had a game where there was like a mashing mini game, why I was always so much slower with my right hand, and it was because most people, if they're right-handed, this is faster for them. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
have to-
I would
just
usually
grab
hold
that.
it. you
Yeah,
know?
I'll just grab it, just go to town like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough. But for me, it's like, especially if you're not using paddles, having to take your hand off the stick that aims to do things like reload and jump, right? It's
Yeah.
brutal for me. So I change it
Wow.
when I can, and it's kind of hard for me to adjust when I do it the other way. But yeah, dude, left-handed controllers. Also, I have to
Asante's a
say-
levty as well.
Yo, we
Dude,
got everybody
honestly,
in the
my
chat
guy,
today.
my
Let's
guy.
go.
You know what's funny is all the friends in my friend group, we one day realized exactly what you guys have just realized. Like, I have a core friend group of like 10 people, and like 9 of us are left-handed.
Dan, get it together, will you?
All of my groomsmen
I
are
play
left-handed.
inverted.
All
That's
your
all I
groomsmen
play.
are left-handed.
So do I.
Yeah, dude, all of
No.
them. It's crazy, dude.
All right, here's
Dude,
the
crazy.
test, Dan. We'll see if we can bring Neo with us. Neo, you played normal or inverted?
I play normal.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I
I play
lost
normal,
him.
bro.
Sorry,
You
I
know,
play
it's
normal.
one of those things
old,
where
man.
I've
'Cause
gotten
we're
so
old.
used to it. You know. Yeah.
You know what's funny
how they
is
used
when
to
I
be.
was younger, I played inverted, and then I think I played a game that wouldn't let me do it, and my brain just got used to it, and now I can't play inverted, and I never have gone back. So
I think I told you guys when I played Phantom Blade Zero at SGF, they didn't have the option built in yet to invert.
Oh wow.
And I looked at the guy, I was like, I can't play. Like, I don't know how I'm going to
I
do it.
can't.
And and he kind of like
I mean,
helped me.
if
Luckily,
you-
yeah.
I highly recommend reviewing a game that doesn't have inversion, and it will force your brain to readjust, and you'll never be able to go back. And that honestly was the
No.
biggest blessing, because I was the guy who was always annoying, having to pause Halo to be like, oh shit, I didn't invert my controller scheme. And now I don't have that problem. So honestly, I say power through inverted people. It is better on the other side, as somebody who is a former inverted guy.
So speaking of inverted and inversion stuff in games, we all know inversion was Ain's game of the year when that came out.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Version? I don't.
You don't remember that game,
No,
bro?
no. What is
Was
it? Let
on
me
Game
look.
Pass?
Am I forgetting?
You guys don't remember inversion? It was that
Yo.
weird. Yeah, dude.
That was 2012 was a weird year for video games.
Oh
man.
yeah,
that
okay.
was a
Saber
weird-
Interactive. I remember seeing this. I never played it.
Bro.
I never played it.
it's like you pick that game up at GameStop. You can't even read the title. You got to turn it like that. Oh, good job. Good
That's
job.
right. Okay, yeah.
Graphic design is my passion.
Yeah, I mean,
53% on Metacritic. All right.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
called a Travis Good.
That's
I
a
mean,
Game Pass game right
that's,
there.
that's on the high end of games I review. Nice, dude.
It's in that Game Pass catalog. Oh man.
You know, hey, Travis reviewed that, gave it a 53. How dare you?
I'm proud
Oh,
to say I
man.
did not
Dang
review
left-handed
version.
person.
All right.
Oh my God.
We got a couple super chats to get to here. Let's get them.
Is Hoeg left-handed?
I don't know, honestly. We'll find out next week.
Don Otaku for $5 super chat. Neo can't start a gaming session without a spoonful of heavy duty industrial grade mayonnaise. It's his gamer fuel.
You
I
like
saw
that,
you do
huh?
this a long time ago, and then I was like, "What in the hell is this man doing? Do you like switch it up at all, or do you like the?"
It's getting called out.
Well,
Midstream.
first, Don Otaku, he had to donate to say that, so he's supporting the homie. So thank you for that.
Wow.
No, but listen, I got to give this story in every single show I'm on. My God, it follows me everywhere. Anyways,
You don't actually like mayonnaise, right?
No, I do like mayo. I do, but listen, I made one comment on a stream saying that like people were talking about, oh, if you have French fries and you don't have ketchup, what sauces do you use? So I said, yeah, sometimes I'll do some honey mustard. I might do some barbecue sauce, and I really like Chipotle mayo. And for whatever reason, people are like, Chipotle mayo, what? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. You guys ever had it? And then it just went like, you know how things go. People are like, oh, this man Neo goes to bed drinking himself a gallon of Chipotle mayo. And I was like, I never said that. And then one day, somebody was like, something. I think I lost the bet. And I had to eat a spoonful of mayo on camera. And listen, I'm a man of my word. I'm like, yeah, all right, set it up. So I went and I got a spoonful of mayo. And oddly enough, the views spiked because apparently people started to send this out. Randall Thor was in there. Jess Corden was in there. I was like, what is going on? And then I had a spoonful of mayo.
If there's bad food there, Jez is going to show up.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Well, they eat mayo like crazy in the UK. It's nuts. They eat it with their French fries and stuff.
Beans on toast.
I'll be honest. I grew up in.
Hey, no one will talk bad about beans on toast on this show. Damn it.
I've never had it, so I might have to.
Terrible
food taste. Good about
it. Real bad.
He said, "What's good about it?"
It looks terrible, but I'm telling you, it tastes fantastic.
It is not good. I've had it. It's bad.
We need a cooking Ains video.
Yeah, no, the UK food is pretty terrible.
He don't know what he's talking about. Don't worry about him.
I grew up in Oakland, and I thought my entire life I liked mayo, and then when I left Oakland as an adult, I tried real mayonnaise, and I realized my entire life I've been eating Miracle Whip. I didn't know,
dude. What people don't understand when you have real mayo, real mayo.
I was like, wait, mayo isn't sweet. It's like a egg based.
Yep.
So exactly.
All right, that's it. We're doing a Mayo Miracle Whip poll on the season gaming side.
I mean, I think Mayo will win.
Who the hell eats Miracle Whip?
That's what I'm trying to figure. I've never had Miracle Whip in my life.
I'm telling you,
it's so good. You never had Nations hamburgers? So they say it's mayo, but it's actually Miracle Whip, and so that's why I didn't know that there was a difference. I thought all mayo tasted like Miracle Whip until I was like 18 years old. It was like the first time I ever had like something with mayo in it, and I was like, oh my god, it's different. It's crazy.
That's it. The poll is up. Let us know what you think.
God,
hey, real quick,
I'm going Whip, dude. Miracle Whip. 100%.
Wait, what happened, Dan?
Say Dan.
Paul Hamilton right over here.
Let me find it
real quick.
Yeah,
he's right there. So what's the review for Beefaroo? Because a couple weeks ago, I said I was going to Beefaroo, and it is excellent. There was 0 people in there.
This is the place you said is local, right?
Over in the park. Yep.
Nice.
All right. It's like a true fast casual. By the way. They've got roast beef sandwiches like Arby's, but better. They've got hamburgers that are actually really good.
Nice.
Surprising. Onion rings, cheese curds.
Love it.
Chicken, shakes. I mean, they got everything you could possibly think of, and it's all delicious.
Love it.
All right. Now, I was a little concerned when I pulled in on a Sunday at like 2:00, and there was no other cars there except for ours. But it was nice. It was a nice ambiance because it was just us, and it was delicious. So, Beefaroo,
nice.
Thumbs up from.
All right, I'll check it out.
Check it out.
I'll check it out.
Go right after this. There'll be nobody there. You can just scoot right in and Beefaroo.
No, I got the
Beefaroo.
England championship. England's in the Europa final today against Spain, so that's this afternoon.
What?
What was I going to say? Don, thank you for the super chat and getting us started on the Mayo conversation.
Every podcast, man. Every podcast, like,
It just follows you around.
it
It's your
literally
can't-
does.
I don't know about anyone else, but I can't think of Mayonnaise and the debates over Mayonnaise without thinking of Undercover Brother as a movie, because they just crush it in that movie, and it just makes me laugh every single time. Don.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was looking at the poll.
How we doing?
Mayo's winning, by the way. Go Mayo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Don
I
Reinhardt.
no surprise there.
Yeah, that's a terrible choice, Travis. $10. Good morning, Bitcast.
racist.
Took a small break of Lost Judgment to try Concord. It's fun. Hope to get some matches with the full group before the beta ends to make a purchase decision. Not much of a multiplayer fan, but I can't see what that is.
But shrug.
Just shrug. Shrug.
Oh, Shrug. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think they're doing a second beta like next week, right?
Oh, are they?
I honestly don't know.
I
honestly don't
thought
know.
I saw something on them.
When does the beta end, by the way? I got to
I
play
think
today. or
tonight.
what?
I think
tonight.
Event.
Yeah.
Oh, I might not have time to play tonight because I'm going out later. Dang.
What time
Yeah,
is
shout
it?
out to Don. I don't know, I haven't looked. Don is actually writing for us over at SG now, which is awesome. Last night I was already in a group, Don, so I couldn't catch up. But yeah, maybe we can play tonight.
I got the details. So the
Go,
beta
go,
early
go.
access is this week, weekend, July 12th, 14th. Then there's an open beta on the 18th through the 21st. So if you guys miss out
Nice.
on conking the chords with your homies this weekend, you can do that through Thursday, July 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific through Sunday, July 21st. And the pre-download start Wednesday.
Nice. Okay, so we'll be up for another 4 days next weekend. Awesome. Good
Mhm.
stuff. Don, thank you very much.
And get back to that Lost Judgment. Get back to that Lost Judgment. Finish it.
Yeah, you gotta finish that game.
Yeah.
Fatpo Horror with the 2 pounds. Toad in the hole, Ains. Toad in the hole. What the hell is Toad in
I'm
the
gonna
hole?
have to describe this, aren't I?
Go ahead.
Toad in the Hole is an English dish. It consists of bangers, which we know as sausages, although they're, sausages come in far greater varieties. Typically in Europe, you get a lot more kind of, it's a little different. Plus, then mixed in with
they're called bangers.
We have so many different varieties.
Bangers.
here, though.
bangers, like bangers.
yeah.
I think you're just shopping in the wrong place.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you are.
sausages go back a very long way, and especially in Western Europe, they're like, you go to Germany and it's just, it's
Of
crazy.
course.
And then Yorkshire pudding, which again, not pudding as you would expect here in the U.S.
Is that the blood stuff?
No, that's blood
that's the-
sausage.
Okay, that's crazy.
Blood sausage is fantastic. Yorkshire pudding is it's almost like it's hard to describe. It's what we would call over here a mix between like a dough and a pastry. It's
kind of puff pastry.
It's like a puff up. It's one of my favorite things in the world that you literally cannot get here unless you go to especially English places.
Sounds pretty good.
You can get it.
But it's really good, and you mix that with gravy and vegetables, and it's fantastic.
You can get it in SF if you want to get it while you're down here.
Of course,
I can get it here. It's just you're not going to go to a normal restaurant and see Yorkshire pudding. You know what I mean? Not here.
You know why that
I
is?
meant
Because
Toad in
there's
the
not a
Hole.
market for English restaurants in America.
Yeah. Well,
Because
that's the
it's better.
problem. Because
that's
people
San
eat at
Francisco.
fucking beefaroo. That's the problem.
Right. Exactly. Go to beefaroo. That's
I
what
mean-
people want.
English food's pretty bad, I must say.
It is not, but that's fine. Americans,
Well, what the hell is
they don't
Toad in the
know.
Hole?
They don't know. I just
Toad in the Hole,
described it to
It's
you.
like a bread
So
with
it's a
sausage in
banger.
it.
It's a banger and
It's
a Yorkshire
sausage and
pudding.
Yorkshire pudding mixed together
Oh,
with like.
Okay, see, you didn't say that though. You just said this is a sausage, and then you went to the
Well, he
Yorkshire
did-
pudding.
he did
You didn't put them
say that,
together
though.
though. That's fine. It sounds delicious.
He's missing.
actually.
He's missing the additions.
Actually, Dan, I think you would love it. It's fantastic. Seriously.
I mean, there's
probably
not
would
a whole
like
lot that I don't. So
Yeah, you get gravy on it. Oh yeah, it's good
Oh.
stuff.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
See, Burf knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take my food advice from a guy named Burf. I'm just saying.
It's kind of fair.
I'll roll with it.
It's kind of
I'm
fair.
gonna plead the fifth
Oh.
on that one.
By the
All
way,
right.
I'm loving how I honestly thought it would be a shutout because everybody I've talked to about Miracle Whip has been like gross, and the only people who get it are like black people. That's the only. But I thought Mayo would be losing like I thought Mayo would be winning like way more than it is. So
Miracle Whip. My wife is a Miracle Whip stan.
there we go. Okay, great.
How are we still on this? Oh my god!
This is what happens on Bitcast. This is why people call us Foodcast. We get distracted by food.
I feel represented. It's just I don't know anybody aside from me who prefers Miracle Whip. So this
my wife's right there with you. So
hell yeah, I'm gonna get.
You know what, Travis? I'm gonna go to the grocery store tonight and I'm gonna get some Miracle Whip for you.
Dude, get it.
By the way, Miracle Whip probably costs like 10 cents to make. The price on Miracle Whip nowadays is absurd. Like, where do you go and look at it in the market? It is nuts. Yeah, I don't know what Kraft is doing, but
that's crazy.
It's a mess. Anyway, moving on.
Hey, that's subjective value, though. I mean, you never know.
Also true. Also true.
Yeah. and we're back. We're back, boys.
Back on the fire stick.
What's next?
No, I was just going to quickly mention because we've been quiet since Nintendo Direct, but Nintendo had a weird tease this week of Emio or Amio, of basically a horror themed game that we don't know a whole lot about right now.
I got the 411 details on it.
Do it.
You do?
Hit us with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go.
Yeah. So basically, for those who haven't seen the trailer, it's on Nintendo's various YouTube channels. It's like 15 seconds long. It opens up. There's this dude who's got like this brown paper bag on it with writing. That is essentially what happens if you ever dare think to pirate Nintendo games. Is just the lights are gonna cut and a guy in a paper bag on his face is just gonna show up in front of you. So yeah, buy your games on the Nintendo Switch, please. That's all the insight I have. Luigi's Mansion.
Damn it, man! I'm lucky I didn't get the full sip in. That would have been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. People thought this was a rumor Bloober Team game. It is apparently not related to Bloober Team at all. So,
Jesus,
stop it,
Lord!
It's made my Nintendo's legal team.
Yeah, so who knows? But Nintendo, the only reason I brought it up is because I like to see Nintendo tease something that's not what you would typically consider fully Nintendo themed. We've called out the things like Eternal Darkness and other games we'd love to see them get back to on occasion. So seeing them tease something horror related, I'm down for it. You know what I mean? I want to see what it is.
Do you guys ever play Blood Harvest?
I don't think so. Let me take a look.
N64 game?
Nah.
No.
For another day. I bet you.
I usually have to look it up because my memory is gone at this point. Blood Harvest is a movie apparently, so I've looked up the wrong thing.
Whoops.
Right, good job.
Oh, you looked up the 87 film?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Platform game. No, I have not played that. Good?
Or is it called Body Harvest?
It's Body Harvest.
Body Harvest.
Yeah,
I got the name wrong.
Do you even know your harvests?
Apparently not.
Body and Blood.
Dude, that game was sick.
Blood Harvest could be a good sequel to Body Harvest because
developer Rockstar. Wow.
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was made by Rockstar. That explains so much.
Yeah. DMA Design. Rockstar North.
Great game.
Wow. So anyway, we'll see what that is. We'll obviously talk about that in an upcoming episode. But like I was going to close out, like I said, Flintlock this week. We get college football this week. We get Kinitsugami this week. Kinitsugami, I think I talked about briefly. I played that at Summer Game Fest. Very unique game. Got that classic Japanese art style, but it's like a mix of like real-time action, isometric camera view mixed with like RTS things where you're like lining things up and planning attacks. So very unique kind of game from Capcom. But that Flintlock and Kinitsugami are on Game Pass this week. So you can check those out if you want to check it out. Flintlock seems pretty cool too. They're calling it like a Souls light. It's got very light mechanics from Souls, but it's more of an action game. But that one looks really good too. It's been delayed a few times. Hopefully shapes up well because it looks great. So looking forward to playing it. Yeah. Could be a good week. Dan, I know you're pumped, man. When's college football officially launched? Tomorrow?
4:00 our time.
He's at the minute. He's like 4:00, 4:01 exactly.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't know if anybody in chat can. Bomber, our good friend Bomber, sent us on Twitter and said, "Hey, can't wait to play this at noon on Tuesday." I'm like, wait a minute, because my countdown on PlayStation says 4:00, but then his timer for Xbox says like Tuesday at noon or something. So I don't know if it's different or if PlayStation is wrong or maybe Xbox is wrong. It just downloaded yesterday.
Okay.
So
yeah, it keeps saying the early access is on the 16th.
Yeah, which is weird because my timer says tomorrow.
I've noticed some PlayStation timers have been off for certain games. I have noticed. Yeah.
Well, hopefully. I mean, technically, the main game releases on the 19th.
Yeah.
So 16th would make sense. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that it's right, because otherwise,
And you just played an extra day.
my whole
early.
plans for tomorrow night are completely.
Damn, that'd be sick. Dan's just gonna be sitting there like
And then
SpongeBob.
you'd have to talk to your kids.
Oh God.
Man.
I don't talk.
I
To my
really-
kids. Are you stupid?
Bold of you to assume that he acknowledges them.
Yeah.
One thing I really wish, and I know Travis rants about the early access all the time, but if you're going to have this paid early access nonsense, for God's sakes, at least have a global chart of exactly when the game goes
Yeah.
live.
Yes.
Like, come
Just
on.
don't do it.
Oh,
Just don't
you
do
know,
it yet.
oh, I forgot. It's gonna be. I'm gonna do the 10-hour early access trial. I'm gonna see what that is, so I don't have to.
Oh, I
so
forgot
look.
about that on EA
Yeah,
Play.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
EA Play, guys. If you are on the
Game
fence,
Pass.
if you guys are on the fence of on College Football 25, there is a 10-hour early access trial, and it starts July 16th. So 10 hours. That's
I don't think EA gets enough credit for that, by the way.
no, that is pretty dope, man.
I do like that. Yeah, I've used that quite a bit for like NHL and stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally forgot about that. Neo, good shout.
Yeah.
So
I legit forgot about it too until I was looking up the freaking pre-orders.
what tier of Game Pass do I need to beat? No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that again.
The one you play in the cloud stick.
Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. It's been a fun one today. I know, social media has been chaotic. It hasn't been great time, just in general with everything going on in the world. So hopefully we brought you some laughs today with Bitcast and Foodcasts as we do. Great having Neo back in the house to hang out with us. It's been too long, my friend.
Yes.
We need to have you back on more often.
Yes.
That's for damn
Yes.
sure.
Agreed.
So,
That's my favorite.
Yeah. So, Neo, please shout yourself out, man. Let people know where they can find you. Anything you got upcoming or anything else you want to call out?
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. So you can follow me across all various social media outlets on NeoGameSpark. NeoGameSpark is my YouTube channel. We're going to be getting back to doing the streams this week. Took a few weeks off just because work has been a little hectic, and I needed that personal time just to compress. But
Sure.
we're back at it this week on Thursday night, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then business as usual, videos and content will resume. And yeah, if you want to follow me for my lukewarm to spicy takes, and in some cases I get bullied randomly, I catch strays over mayo, you can follow me at Twitter. My handle is NeoGameSpark. And again, guys, thank you so much. It's been too long. Like I keep saying it's been like 2-3 years, but it really feels like it. Time is
It probably has
yeah.
been at least a year and a half, 2 years.
It's been a while.
It's
been a while.
crazy amount of time, but I'm just so happy to see you guys continue on with the incredible success as you guys keep growing. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for having me, and shout out to everybody in the chat. And it looks like Mayo won out 73% of the votes.
Yeah, Mayo
we
took
go.
down 73%.
That's
over
less of a
Miracle.
victory than I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be like 95%. I'd never met anybody who likes Miracle Whip, so this is a good day for me.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
And next week,
Little victories.
season Gaming Bitcast episode 300 sponsored by Miracle Whip. You know what I mean? We'll do it
There
up.
you go.
So,
Dreams do come true.
but yeah, Neo, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Travis, I'll pass to you before I close out because I've got several announcements I got to get through here at the end.
Yeah, I played a big game that a lot of people are going to care about this week, and I will be able to talk about it next week. I'm also working on my review of both Concord and Sea of Thieves, which admittedly has been put on the back burner like 3 times now. So that's I'm going to get to that eventually. We're doing Destiny podcast this Thursday. I think I'm going to be on that, and then I'm hopefully going to take a little bit of a break for at least a week while I go get married, which is happening the beginning of next month. So
beautiful.
You can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis or just read my stuff on IGN.com.
Sounds good. Got a few things to announce before we close out, actually. So a couple things we did this week. We did the Shadow of the Archery Roundtable with several members of the community, including a couple SG people, Nerd Chat guys. So you can check that out. Mikkel Casanova joined us as well. So it was a great time. That's up on the channel. We also got Cast Co-op back in the house this week. We talked a lot about Xbox Game Pass and some of the other things going on. That was me, Joe, and Luke, of course. So you can check that out. But most importantly, next week is our 300th episode in Bitcast. Probably going to have a lot of people stopping by. Neo, maybe you can swing back by as well. I'll talk to you after the show. But just going to be kind of sharing history, memories, laughs, etc. It's going to just be a show for fun. Nothing crazy game related. But
Nothing
just members.
substantive.
Yeah, exactly. Just hanging out with us, kind of celebrating 300 episodes, which is kind of crazy to think about, honestly. But that'll be a lot of fun next Sunday. So we hope you can join us. And then almost directly after the show, maybe you're overlapping a little bit, there's going to be a special show, I believe, hosted on the ILP over at Iron Lord's side. We're going to be doing, or I should say, they're coordinating for a major show. I don't want to tease all the details, but it's not necessarily Iron Lords related. I think they're just hosting, but it's going to be a celebration of some things with some members of the Xbox community. I'll be jumping in at one point as well, along with lots of anyone who follows that kind of community will know a lot of those people. So keep an eye for that. Keep an eye on Ben Kenobi, who does the Xbox coins. He's going to be talking about that as well. That'll be really fun. So
That old wizard.
that old wizard, yeah. So that'll be great. So keep an eye for that. But we will see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for voting for Miracle Whip, and we hope you have a good week of gaming. And we will talk to you next Sunday. Until then.